7. Welcome to Feferity Radio, your nostalgic station. We'd like you to really go to our Facebook and Feferity London to look at some of the shows. And this show here will be also uploaded to our YouTube channel. And we really encourage you to subscribe and to share, please. Thank you very much. I'm going to play this track before we bring in Dr. X. This is one that I would dedicate to him because he is a man that has got his own mind and like to fashion and, works within his own mind frame. And, we call it stubbornness in English. In Sierra Leone, they call it tukangayes, or some, in English, you will say selfishness. But there's all the time for it. But is it a problem when you really listen to yourself? This is a UK band, the Soothsayers, and the vocalist just passed away a year ago, Baba Adesosi Wallace. The Soothsayers. That's the voice of Ade Sosi Wallace. Last year, May. Shout there to Lorna. She was saying she wants to hear Hallelujah again. Really? Really? Well, I'll play that later on, maybe, if we've got time. You know, Dr. X is here, so time for music is over. Well, I want to welcome you on board here for Feferity Radio. My name is Freestyle. This is What Are You Saying on a weekday, except for Mondays. And look out for a brand new show as well on Saturday. That's Vinyl Saturday, going live. You know, so much vinyls that I need to really make you appreciate and share with you. So that's going on live on our YouTube and also on the radio. We'll keep you informed into the day. But look out. In the meantime, you can go and look out the shows there. We've got Andrew Mohammed, Glenn Roy Watson. I'm sure my production team has actually put that up by now. Also Kenneth Kovale from the Netherlands. We have also Juliet Ryan from the Black Seat. So it's all up there. Would like you to go please and look at it. Like, subscribe and share. Thank you very much. Well, now it's all about me and Dr. X here on Feferity Radio. Keep your text messages calling. You can call in live on 0730-541-7668. Internationally, +44 730-541-7668. So let me welcome Dr. X here on Feferity Radio. How are you doing, sir? Welcome.
I'm good, bro. Yeah, don't know. I'm here. I'm fine. Yeah.
So how are you keeping up, keeping out with this whole situation that we are all faced with?
Yeah, I mean, I'm good. I mean, it doesn't bother me at all. I've just passed the park coming up this way. It's full of people. They're sitting and having picnics, playing football. I think most people understand that it's not what the government is saying. So I mean, there's some people who are very sort of government orientated and they do what they do as they're told and they just believe what they see. But if you got like right now 100 people in the park here, could you imagine all over London what people are doing? And they've had to ban people from Brockwell Park, over 300 people just sitting there.
Yeah.
So what we're saying is that it's like we're moving into a new era, you know what I'm saying, of governmental control, and the corporations are controlling government, and the corporations are breaking all the rules. Like, you know, Facebook, who wants to have a monopoly over media, so it's bought Instagram and it's bought WhatsApp.
Yeah.
And in an earlier time, they couldn't have done that because it gives them too much of a monopoly. But they can break rules because they've now become the power. They've now become the government behind the government, the corporations. They're much more powerful than the government. So whatever it is they're dropping, whatever it is they're running, it's not based upon any disease. From my point of view and from my opinion, and from all the doctors that have written about it, all the nurses that talked about it, you know, saying this is one thing they didn't answer. So now that what they're going to learn to do over the future is to create a system to censor people that don't agree with the government. But remember, it's not the government; it's the corporations that are running the government. And I remember saying this about 15 years ago. I said to you, the next rulership that we're going to have is corporation, because they're selling out and they're buying off these politicians. They have no backbone. They have no moral standard. They just anything to make their life better is what they move to. So COVID it's a whole bunch of people I know that even think about COVID. It's like, okay, we're locked off, we can't go nowhere based on the police and stuff. But if they could have, if they could have had a party, they would. They do. Lots of people had parties like 5-handed, 10-handed in their yard and all that. And it's not really. If it was that dangerous and that fearful, people are afraid more for the older people. So me means nothing to me. Like when it's over, it's over.
Well, that's Dr. X for you there. Yeah. So that's how he's been keeping up with this cover. Is not really. He's minding his head basically. Right. Amidst everything that is going on. Dr. X, a lot of people, I know you personally, we've worked on the same broadcasting station before years ago, and you've built up your brand. A lot of people know you for what you do and how you do it. That is something that people know. I would like us to start by telling us where you was born. That's Dr. X as a little child.
First of all, I don't have a brand. Saying I'm not a brand. I'm a human being, and I've built up. My personality has been afforded on a radio station. I'm not a commodity to be bought and sold. You know what I'm saying? So I'm definitely not a brand. The language that people pick up, it's media driven, and then they think it's normal language. And actually, it's what he's doing. It's turning you into chattel, in another form of chattel. You get what I'm saying? Where you start to pick up everything they put down through the media, because corporations control the media. You start to pick up. So you start calling yourself a brand. A brand? Me? No, man, I'm not a brand. I'm X. So, you know what I'm saying? I got another name, but I'm X. That's what I am. No brand. I'm just an X. And whatever I do is based under me being that guy. Not no brand. You know what I'm saying? Because brand is what they did to slaves. And it's what they do when they want to mark something as theirs. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to mark nothing. Everything I'm doing was probably here before. So, that's for starters. I was born in England, in London.
You cannot hesitate to say that.
Huh?
You cannot hesitate to say that, England or...
Yeah, London.
Yeah, London.
What do you mean I can't? Yeah, that's where I was born. My parents are from Jamaica. You know what I'm saying?
South, east, west of London, you were born?
South London. All my life, South London, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Alongside, there's few people from South London. Another radio host known as Prophet Kwaku, he also does, alongside yourself, he's also from the same time frame and the same era. Area as me, in the wider area of South. There's a few of us, you know what I'm saying, from this side, you know what I mean? Because even in a sense, Genesis is South London as well. It's just a different part of South London. It's still South though.
Yeah.
So
you're born in South. There's a lot. You're a Londoner. How was London back then when you were growing up?
Well, a lot of the things that are in play now wasn't in play. When I was growing up, they had stray dogs on the street. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of bombed out houses. It was different. I can't. When you grow up in an era, you only
bombed houses. You're talking like, like.
No, I'm not that old.
Remember.
I'm not that old. But we called them bombed because they was all broken down and in pieces. So I don't know if there was a bomb or not, but that's what we called them.
Right.
And obviously over time they built these areas up and blah blah blah. So there was a lot of roughness in those times, I would suggest, because there was a lot of adventure playgrounds and stuff like that where we used to learn how to be tough and stuff like that, and how to run around. Brixton was a hub at that time, and it was mostly Jamaicans, and that time, not this Jamaican of this era, the Jamaican of the Windrush, their children. That era was a different era. There was not so much violence and so much dunces, so much undereducated, sort of like stupid people who just chat rubbish all the time and think that they're saying one. You know what I'm saying? So, no disrespect, I just think I hear so much crap from these people that you think, did we? You know what I'm saying? Like, what? So, I don't feel no way. Like, they so it was a different era. So them Jamaicans then were more about education and moving forward. They weren't about buying shit and owning stuff and showing brands and just talking about drinks and drugs. Even the better artists, they were also about liberation and moving forward and being educated and learning stuff. And it's just that the system, over those years made it harder for black people each day, and they still do to this day. each generation they make harder to come through, so people switch and get angry and turn on to something else.
So there was a purpose then to blackness, as you were speaking.
Well, there's a development, and not so much a purpose. Everybody wanted to develop. They wanted to be better. They wanted to. These people that have come over the last 20 years, they call it a better life when they own a Gucci bag, or they call it a better life when they can buy drinks and pour over each other's head, like some kind of retarded, off keys. I don't even get it. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm trying to get it and I don't get it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's almost like they're hypnotized by some type of demonic force or something, because I don't get it. You know what I'm saying? And I don't, you know what I'm saying? So it doesn't matter what anybody says. I'm talking about my opinion. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying
this is your experience.
Yeah. I'm saying that back then people wanted, they'd want to buy a house, you know what I mean? But not to show off, not to have parties in, but to try and make sure that their children never saw the type of wickedness that they saw just post-slavery. You know what I'm saying? Like what their generations have seen. So they were trying to make it better. These people, they're just trying to make it better for themselves. Their children are dunce. They're dunce. You know what I'm saying? They go to dunce. They don't care about their children's education. So the children get up, and that group of children are stuck. No, and we know it's that group because they're mostly 16, 17, 18 people who've just come here. Mm. You know what I'm saying? Who are killing each other. Children are killing each other from that type of group. So because they have no interest in the development of their children.
So at that time, where were Dr. X then?
Sorry?
When you were young, I mean, I'm sure there were a lot of like things going on back then. You got the East and the West and things like that. Where were you in all of this commotion?
I did quite well in school, but the situation I lived under was quite abusive. So I ran away from home quite often. And I ended up everywhere. So I know in South London, I know people all over because I was always just adventurous. So I know people from every sort of corner in my age group, like in different sort of groups. There wasn't no postcode stuff happening there, and it was just you come from there, you come from there. But there was no postcode war. Nobody cared about that. They just, if you don't live around here, you don't live around here. But you know what I mean? I've been West London, I've been all over the place. And I just didn't have that type of fear of areas or people. I just thought people were people. So that might be naive to a point, but I just didn't care because I had more fear in my house than I did on the street.
Well, that's exactly what it is, because, you've seen fear from the grassroots. So therefore, wherever you go outside of that is safe.
Yeah. Absolutely.
The kind of, because these sort of abuses back then, it was basically prominent. It was not something that was talked about, but it was prominent everywhere. A lot of people that know people that know people and all of that. How severe was it for you at that time as a young man to run away from that situation?
There was nowhere else to go, you know what I'm saying, because you couldn't go to anybody, you know what I'm saying. So it was, I don't know. I mean, in my head, it was just going. I had no plan. I was quite young. I was still at primary school. The first few times I ran, I was still at primary school. I just think that it's just a sign. I could imagine that. This is why when I'm talking and people say, I say to people, I have, in my opinion, a kind of feeling of what slavery was like. You know what I'm saying? Because I was running with nowhere to go. I didn't know where I was going to sleep. I didn't know what I was going to... I mean, I'm a young guy. I'm a boy. You know what I'm saying? On the street.
Was there a severe beating?
Yeah, definitely.
And rejection of your ability to explain? Because sometimes the old fashion is just like you don't have to talk when they're talking.
Yeah.
You don't have to...
All of that. I mean, I think everybody who grew up in that time would kind of be able to relate. Some of it wasn't as bad as some of us, but mine, I believe, well, it was severe for me, so I wouldn't run.
Sometimes, like in Africa, they will beat us severely if we don't do well in school. Was that the case for you?
Yeah. No, that's it. I got beaten for anything. It didn't really matter. It didn't really matter what it was. Just anything. I think that the frustration that some of these people were feeling based upon their lack of education or whatever, or their circumstances was taken out on you because they couldn't take it out on anyone else. So it depends on what type of parent you had. Some parents were doing a lot better than others, so they wasn't as. And I don't know if there's other things to do with some other mentality that you suffered, that parent suffered early in their life. I don't know, but
I think it's more or less the Victorian sort of era.
Well, I mean, but there people still had. There were still people who were decent to their kids, but you know what I mean. It wasn't like
it was all right back then. You know what I mean, because all our parents that grew up in those era will have been somehow disciplined. in school, even in this country.
Yeah, I was
back then they were beating,
absolutely.
discipline.
Yeah.
So
Caning,
I think
they used to call it.
Exactly. And all of these, I think, is just something that was built into the psychic that is the best way to discipline and to, enforce certain discipline onto your child. And in the late 60s, early 60s, late 60s, early 70s, late 70s, it was norm for, even 80s. I think it's probably
even now they're still
90s.
doing it.
Really?
But in a much more, it's a different type of way. They're still abusive because the people that have come from because Victoria Clumby, she was tortured to death. She was 8 from Africa. She was tortured to death, right? So they're still doing it. And the whole change in parental laws and not the whole of it, but a lot of it in terms of schooling and stuff come from her death. You know what I'm saying? She was burnt with cigarette butts and stuff like that.
That was hair, wasn't it? That was hair.
Yeah, it was hair. Yeah, I'm saying to you, I'm saying that it's still. You said that it was them times. I'm saying that was 90s.
I think that one was completely different because they associated with some kind of voodoo and all that sort of sacrifice.
No, but what we're talking about is abuse, not what you're associating it with. You know what I'm saying? It's just abuse. Abuse is abuse, isn't it? So some people can do it and think it's normal.
Yeah.
And some people can accept it and think it's normal.
For me, it was my mother beating me up. Is it the same for you? Was your mom?
No, it's not my dad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think that's much more severe because if your mother beats you up next time, they will call you and give you sweets and trying to tell you not to do it again.
I wasn't in that situation. I didn't have that kind of connection. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, I was a single parent. My life was a single parent life, and it was a father. So there's lots of things that I know differently to people who had single mothers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I've seen the world in a different way because everybody else I knew had mothers. I was the only person just had a single dad way back then. So, I think that going on the street and running away showed me a fearlessness that I have now. So when people say to me, "Boy, I said this, son said that," I don't care, bruv. Like, what? You know what I mean? Like, I've been through so many fights throughout my life, boxing and all sorts of stuff. Like, if I reach to that point, you know what I'm saying? That's where I've reached. You get what I'm saying? The idea to educate yourself or they call it didactic. A didactic maneuver, yeah. Then that's called when you self-teach. The reason why I taught myself certain things, and I went over certain things because half the time I didn't like the way I was looked at as a human being, as a black man. I didn't know I was black until I didn't realize I was black. I just thought I was just living until I was about 16, 17.
Wow.
Yeah, I just lived. I didn't have a political view of what black was.
Exactly, because your experience at that time was compounded with so many different issues.
That's right, absolutely.
Motherhood, fatherhood.
Lack of motherhood.
Yeah, lack of motherhood, and then fatherhood doesn't appreciate, and running out of home and probably not being able to be consistent in school. That is a personal dealings. So to try and understand who you are, you're trying to understand as a child what is going on.
It's a madness.
It's quite appropriate, yeah.
It's like when you reach adult now, when you start to diagnose and analyze some of the stuff that I've been through some madnesses. I've slept under beds, I've slept in cars, I've slept on the street, I've slept in squats, houses that they were just taken or empty and we just so it's like when they talk about living on the street, there's a difference between like a guy says I'm street because he lives in his nice house with his mum getting pocket money, but he goes out on the street a lot of the times and sells and maybe deals in drugs. So he says I'm from the street. No, you're not. You know what I'm saying? You're a guy who is attracted to the street. That's the difference between from the street. People who are from the street are the people who have to live on the street. These are the people from the street. The people who have no other love in their life, have no other attraction. You know these people that no matter rain, sun or shine, you see them on the street? Those are street people. You see the ones who when the sun shines and they're still in the house watching their big screen TV, they're not street people. They just call it the street because that's how they hustle on the street. But they're not from the street. If you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
people from the street know
distinction. There's the circumstances that make people go to the street.
Actually, yeah. I'm saying that's a different. KRS-One is from the street. He slept on a park bench and all that. And there's a few others who lived in such poor areas that their whole life depended on the street. Yeah. These people that say I'm street because they can kick certain lyrics and their mum sent them to private school and you're not from the street, bruv. Are you dumb? How can that be the street? You just hijacked somebody's life lifestyle to make your life seem a little more, I don't know, aggressive, a little more.
Maybe is a way for them to be associated with what is going on in the street.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I get that.
You know, when you said you discovered at the age of 16 that you're black, that is a great, insight into maybe the kind of person that you are. Tell us about that moment. How did it come about when you discovered, like, oh my God, I'm black?
I don't even, you know what I'm saying? I don't even really. I
Who
can't.
did that?
I mean, it's weird, isn't it? Like,
was it like a woman or something? Like,
no,
you know
what it was?
Yeah,
you know what it was? You know
Yeah.
what it was? It was. I was dating a girl from Barbados.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I didn't have a clue there's a difference until one time we was on the street, a whole bunch of us. You know what I'm saying? Just on road, running up and down, and then they start to take the piss out of her.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And say, come from Barbados, and they're a monkey and them. And I, what the fuck are they talking about? What do you mean? Eating monkeys and that. Like, so I'm going, what's going on here? You know what I'm saying? So I didn't know at the time. You know what I'm saying? And like, I don't even think she was proper clocking, but the group that I was with was all Jamaicans, you know what I'm saying, that we used to hang out with. But I don't know, she did something and they start to say that just to take the piss out of her and all that. And then I start to clock, what's that mean? Well, I don't even get, what is that? What's that mean? I know, I mean, when I say to you I was oblivious to that at all, I was never brought up with any understanding of my culture, really, just as I am. All I know is what I am and as I am. So that was when I started to say, well, why are you different to me then? Why are they doing that? And then I realized that us lot came from the same place. You get what I'm saying? And she came from another place. And then I was saying, so what's the difference? And then then I bucked, like they used to have rastas on the road them time there. Like I used to wear a lot of military stuff. They used to, back then they dressed military. They weren't like how they are now. Yeah. And they'd wear, and like, you know, they'd stop you and say, we are the one, rare, and they'll tell you about, you know, eating clean and not eating pork and all that. Yeah. So that was in Brixton. So they used to just walk around and like stop groups of kids and just start talking to them with no kind of lust or no kind of like trying to chat up. I mean, I'm sure that some of them might have done, but it wasn't obvious at the time. And then I started to hear about Africa. Then I started to hear about Selassie. That's what brought me into like, what, I don't get it. What am I then? Like,
different word.
Yeah. So what am I now? So I started about Selassie, and then I started to hear about Rasta. And I said, oh shit, this what? And then I heard about what they did to the Rastas in Jamaica, and the whole idea of Rastafarianism, and and I'm going, wow. I didn't speak to my dad because and I put up a picture of I think it was Selassie and there was a dreadlock guy on it that they gave me on the street, and put it. And my dad told me to take it down. He's like, take down that ton, one bag of noise. So I was really upset, and I took it down because I thought, this is me trying to find myself. Yeah. And was I 16 then? No, I was about 14. I was about 14, not 16 yet. I was about 14 and 13, 14, yeah, because I just started secondary school. So, at that moment now, I'm thinking, bro, there's something else going on here. You know what I'm saying? In terms of my existence. You know what I mean? So that's basically where it started. So I started to get to find out about the pork thing. So when my first time I went into a juvenile detention, like they used to have a place called Stamford House, which is a youth home. You know what I'm saying? So a couple of times you get nicked, and you can't. I don't tell them because I don't want to go back home. So I'm saying I don't live nowhere. So they're sending me to this what they call it, it's a children's remand home. That's it. So, yeah. So it's called Stamford House in Shepherd's Bush. So we used to go there. So that's when they started to give me like pork and bacon. I ain't eating that because now I know there's something more to this thing. I ain't eating no pork. No, I'm not eating that. And a couple of the guys, obviously, black guys that were there knew also was on that. You know what I'm saying? So it was like we started to say we were Muslim because they only recognized Muslim. They didn't recognize Rasta. So in time you went inside, you had to say I'm Muslim, so you don't get the pork. So that's how it started. So that's how my first foray into black awareness, so to speak. Like, oh, I'm black. I say like it's really weird. I swear to you, it's like that. I'm swear to like, oh, I'm black. You know what I'm saying? There's something different about me.
At that time, before that,
because remember, sorry to cut you, but remember, I used to sit with bare white girls and white boys at school. You know, and like they were always quite clever. I was quite clever at school, so. It was I never saw them as better than me. Like I was like, I'd be sitting to the brightest white girl in the school would be sitting next to me and like we'd be competing because I didn't recognize anything. So I was always at the front. My friends was always at the back. Most of the people that was connected to me was in that time we were set out in different classes. They were in the lower classes, but I've got no idea of different classes or nothing. I'm just being me. You know what I'm saying? I don't know that class is lower than this class or nothing.
So you was a friend with or acquaintance with a lot of whites than your black fellows at that time?
Yeah, at the time. You know, I got like the whole Cockney thing. When you hear me talk Cockney and that, that's where I get it from. You know, like I used to get my friend, I was introduced to chestnuts through my white friend at his yard over his fire with his dad. His older brother was a boxer, and they were proper Cockneys, you know what I'm saying? And they just lived down the road from us. So, you know, that's how I didn't have a fear of white people. Just saw them as people. I didn't have any kind of prejudice towards white people because I just saw them as people. I can't tell you what I saw them as. I didn't have you know what I'm saying? In my head,
you didn't have a view.
I had no purpose to say that they were white. They were just there. You know? I can't explain to you how that worked.
No, of course, because, you know, you've said it. You have no purpose to differentiate, even yourself recognizing your color.
I didn't.
And where that actually, you know, the history behind it. And so, therefore, you know, what you see is, at that time, what I saw,
and I'm saying that, okay, people say that happens when you're very young, you know what I'm saying, when you're young. But I'm still thinking like this in near my teenager. I have no, because
I'm my children already at that time.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Because my dad kept me isolated from everyone. You know what I'm saying? I was always on a lockdown, so you know I'm very solitary because of that. I grew up that way. You know what I'm saying? So. This is where I get my studiousness from, because I was always solitary. Like, he'd keep me away from people. So I didn't have a perception. I didn't learn stuff till later on, like fighting and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know I should supposed to defend this. I didn't know, like, what are you doing that for? Like, I mean, and people tried to bully me because I was quite bright. So it seemed like I was a bit like, I don't know, nerdy or whatever you want to call it. So they tried to bully me, but that's when I said, you know, and that's when I started to fight. That's when I didn't even know if I learned how to fight. I just started to fight from a young age.
Is that the time they were bullying you because they saw that you're more clinging to the white?
I don't know. This is what I'm saying to you. Like, when you
looking back in...
what it was, I'm saying, this is what my diagnosis is that I was too bright, innit? I wasn't hanging with them like that. I always associate with anyone. I didn't have a group. Right. I could go from them. Yeah. This is how Ghettoology was formed. I can go from this white group to the black group, and I don't think nothing of it. Yeah. But they've already got an opinion of what I'm doing. So it's like, where I do over Yassa, kind of like, what are you doing over here? Like, you know, go back over there. What do you mean go back over there? Tell me where to go. I said, I'm going over here. That kind of thing. So I believe, this is my belief, that it was because I was this strange guy. I didn't have I hadn't had a purpose like, I mean, I wasn't brought up with that type of purpose. I didn't have that. Even at secondary school, it was the same. Black guys would come over to the white nerdy group and try to bully them. I said, move up. Listen, what are you lot doing? You know what I'm saying? Because they couldn't fight. This nerdy group couldn't fight, but they were still my brethren in school. So I was defending them, not because they were white, just because they were my friends. I didn't have that concept. You get what I'm saying? So it sounds really weird, but that's how it went.
No, that's history.
Yeah. So as time went on, I realized it's just because as I got older. So now, by the time now I start to go to older, because I kept running away and kept getting in trouble, like with the police being on the street and that. And then I went into my last foray. I won't go into the whole detail of that, but my last foray, I got a big enough time for that age. And by then I had a social worker. So this social worker was trying to work out why I kept running away and why I was getting into trouble. So the court assigned me a social worker back then, and she was there when I got this sentence. So the first person to buy me a black book was a white woman, that my social worker. Yeah. So my first education about black people came from a white woman. You know what I'm saying? So when people say that I'm racist, I don't know how to, I know how to see the differentiations to the behavior, but I really don't know how to be racist as such. You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't.
You identify the issue and the problem that surrounds human behavior, and now that you're matured, you can see clearly the pattern that something doesn't really change. Is institutional and is orchestrated with a really intelligent mind behind it and purpose behind it. So therefore you're caught in these two worlds. And this is what I was going to ask you as well, because at that time when you became aware of your blackness and you says you heard about Rastas and so many different sort of group, how was it for you then? I mean, was it the Rasta that brought you to this sort of like mindset of, you talk about the food and how to eat well. Is he the Rasta that brought you into the knowledge of blackness and the connectivity to Africa?
Yeah. First, that was the first point of call. But at that time, there was nothing in the library, our local library. There's nothing about black stuff in our library. There was no direction in school or anything towards black. There's nothing on the television that was. Every time you saw somebody on the television, you'd see somebody in a sort of. I can't remember. You see Sidney Poitier. He was the only one black man I ever saw that seemed to hold his own. You know what I'm saying? But it was always in a derogatory way. So there was nothing. And remember, I have no purpose because my dad hasn't taught me shit. You know what I'm saying? He told me nothing about nothing. So I'm trying to work everything out from my intelligence, and I'm probably getting it wrong, but I'm just looking and thinking, oh, that's that and that's that. But I don't feel that vibe. I don't feel like I want to be them. I'm not doing that. Nobody's going to get me to do that. I'm saying, I always had this rebellious streak. Like when I was at school, they'd want me to eat like custard and stuff like that, and I'd sit there for the whole of the playground. You just said earlier on stubbornness. I just think I don't want to eat it. I just told you I don't want to eat it, and you're forcing me to eat something I've told you I'm not eating. And then they're telling my dad, and then they tell him, right, take one spoonful and all this kind of stuff, and trying to force it in my throat, and I'm spitting it out. And I just never had that. I wasn't born with that sort of like giving. I'm resilient for whatever reason. You know what I'm saying? So pushing that along, you know what I'm saying, into my further life, understanding that. There's some things that like you asked me earlier on, there's some things that is just who I am. And the world is trying to bend me to be what they want me to be and telling me to fall in line. I'm saying, well, how do I do that? And then that means I stop being me to be something that you want me to be. How do I exist under that when I never knew who I was in the beginning? I just was, if you understand what I'm saying. I was the purpose of being who I am. I didn't have a designation. So now you want me to have a designation.
Yeah. Was your father a person who understand the black struggle, or was one that understood it but don't want to be involved with it? How do you see that situation?
He would be like, you know what I'm saying, he wouldn't be on the best side, he wouldn't be on the rebellious side. That's, he's dead now, so they say you mustn't speak ill of the dead, so he wasn't on that side, put it that way. He wasn't on the rebellious side, you know what I'm saying? So he taught me nothing about everything he did to me was to put me in line. You know what I'm saying? And anything the school said and anything they said at school was to put me in line. So some of the stuff was, I had a mind of my own. So some of the stuff was absolutely wrong. It was just this, you know what I'm saying? There's some stuff he did that, I had to shield him from because he would have got into a lot of trouble. And you know what I'm saying? And I did shield it because obviously I'm the son, I'm young, I don't know, whatever, So I just didn't understand how I could shield you from stuff, but as soon as they say some stuff, that the authorities or school or whatever, you're just jumping on me. You know what I'm saying? You're not even but when you do something that's going to put you in trouble via me, I shield you. But remember, I'm young and I think this is the right way to think, and I think I've got my thought process together, but it's not happening. So this is where my sense of balance and justice came from. It's like, that's not fair. You know what I'm saying? So as time went on, I guess I just started to like look at the world in a way where there are people who are not going to fight, and there are people who are, basically. So when I jump back to the 20s, I see a lot of people right now throughout my life who are just acting. That's not them. A lot of people that I grew up with on the street that turned into some tough guy that they were never was. And they can never be, because you either are what you are, as far as I'm concerned, or you're not. You know, you know what I mean? Like, freestyle is freestyle. I don't expect to come here and see another guy or a guy acting another. That's acting. That's what I just said, acting. That's not freestyle. He's trying to purport to be something. So there's a lot of people on the street and a lot of people, out in our world that they're trying to shield themselves from the pressures by acting into a character and formulating a character, and you know what I mean? And sometimes even that character pushes them to a limit because they really don't know what to do. They think they're doing what the character's asking them to do. I call it Hollywooding. A lot of people have learned to characterize rather than be themselves because they're scared of their weaknesses. They're scared of their ability, the stuff that's might expose them as their true self. They're frightened of that. They want to be this television character or this strong character or bad man or, tough guy or, bitch or whatever they want to call themselves. Like, I'm this, you know what I mean? But a lot of them are very, very vulnerable people. You know what I'm saying? They don't really have the ability to defend themselves, so they perform. They take on this character.
Well, you can say we're all actually in the theater.
Yeah, in that sense.
Where we are, you know, actors and playing a role.
Yeah. No, we're not all in the theatre.
No,
There is a theatre of a sort.
You
know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of people that are acting, trying to make out that's the real character.
That's it.
What I'm saying.
Yeah, I get that. This is why I played the track by Soothsayers Follow Your Path, because I didn't know just what you've said moments ago about the background. And people that know you always know you for one thing, very controversial, and you swear a lot. This is what people remember of Dr. X. They don't really sit down to understand the soul of the man. And this is exactly what, I mean, we're trying to do here, because, you know, it's not just about, because sometimes, you know, like you said, we hear surface, you know, it's like we want to hear certain words. And if it doesn't come, it's like, okay, it's not exciting enough. But for Dr. X, everybody is like, even people, when I was talking to them, say, yeah, I'm going to bring Dr. X here. It's like, oh, he swears. I mean, okay. You know, that's what we're talking about, branding, actually. That's what I meant by branding, not actually mean that, you know, you're selling it.
It's my brand.
When people, well, this is what people have associate.
Yeah, because that's what I'm saying to you, like.
Right. So, you know, it's good to bring those, I mean, the personality out and the man himself. So we understand what makes people do what they do, you know, because there's always a reason for that. What I'm really excited about is that Barbados girl. I mean, that really, like, she brought you to I mean, she opened a window, basically, not directly to you, but indirectly about what been said about her and about, you know, and open a window. That relationship must be a very significant one. Those kind of relationship might not be a long lasting, but is a very significant one. Tell us a little bit about that.
You've gone back there. But I mean, like, it was just like, that was the sort of first major
did you actually had a fight for her, because these guys were calling her monkey and all of that?
No. She weren't calling her monkey. They said that she ate monkey, because it's a delicacy of Barbados, right? So obviously, I come from I don't know that I come from a different, you know, because I've had food by, like, their food is slightly different, their drinks are slightly different, their major drinks and their major food, like our cultural food is different from theirs. But I don't know no better, because there's nobody to talk to. I don't talk to my dad. And there's no mother figure there, and there's no brother figure there, and there's no one else there to talk to. So everything I just get, and I have to try. This is why I've become so analytical, because I have to try and work it out for myself. Like, why did they say it? So I guess if you go back to that, you know, it was just that was my development basically into the world, because I've had a girlfriend before that, but not at that level where, you know, we went out together and people saw us together, and you know what I'm saying? That was that moment. So I don't know if she was significant, because she never, in and of herself, never taught me a lot. You know what I'm saying? It's just that moment I told you about, which then I had to question and said, what is this about? What is this? Because they didn't take it out of me. It wasn't me they were talking to. It was her. But she must, you know, it was jovial. It wasn't like it wasn't like a, you know, like a really weird thing. But I just didn't get why they said that. You know what I'm saying? What do you mean she eats? You know what I mean? So.
Was that the first girl? Was that your first girl?
No. It's just the first major sort of, you know, connection in terms of a long, you know, like girlfriend, but not my first girlfriend.
Okay.
That was girlfriend, not girlfriend.
Okay. You know, because for a lot of people, you know, it depends, that grows in single parent home. You know, if you grow with your mother, you know, you tend to have that sort of feminine side where you kind of understand and empathize with women more. And likewise, if you grow with your father, sometimes, you know, even for girls, it becomes so much harder. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
They have the masculine side, and, you know, they think they can empathize with men and all that. For you, was it the same, like when you have a first girlfriend, or that girlfriend that was significant? I mean, being that you had no mother figure there to give you the other side of
I hear you.
Yeah. How was it for you?
I'm ultra masculine. You know what I'm saying? Really and truly, I'm just ultra masculine.
How was the experience like? You know,
but you don't know you're ultra masculine, because you're on the side with everybody. What they call it? Was it machoistic or machoistic, or what's the other word? What's the other word?
Alpha.
Yeah, alpha. It's like alpha male, but they wasn't using that before. They was using it. Not machoistic.
Masculine.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure the word. Oh God. It was a negative term anyway, saying that you know that you're
Macho.
it's macho, but it was another name, not macho. It was I can't remember that. Somebody will text me and tell me what the word is.
Please do that.
Yeah, somebody text in and tell me what the word I'm trying to remember.
07305417668.
Yeah. But yeah, it had this ultra masculine tendency, which obviously, you know, it's dominant, isn't it? And they call alpha males like top of the whatever they want to call it, because you have alpha males and alpha females in that sense. Mm-hmm. So yes, I was quite, you know, like I'm. You see, what I'm saying is that people don't understand what an alpha male is. An alpha male isn't a retard. The alpha male isn't somebody who doesn't know his feminine side. It just means he's a strong male. Mm. So I've got 4 daughters. You know what I'm saying? So
wow.
With that, you know what I'm saying? Only they can tell you how masculine I am. But I change them, I bathe them, I go for walks with them, I play with them. So I don't know how masculine that is, you know what I'm saying? I read stories to them at bedtime. I used to, you know, So I don't see as that means that because you're ultra male or alpha male, that means that you don't do anything that balances out the rest of your beingness. You get what I'm saying? There's lots of things I do which you can't say to someone because somebody's got a vision of what ultra male is, that you just don't do anything that seems feminine. You know, there's things that I want, like I've always said this, I don't push prams. You know what I'm saying? I don't carry body. I'm not doing that. I'm not carrying no bodysuit with no baby in the middle of the bodysuit. I'm not a woman. You get what I'm saying? So that's how I see it. Doesn't mean I'm right. It just means that I'm not doing that. I've never done that. You know what I'm saying? And I refuse to do that because I'm saying, let the man them who want to do that. This is not a thing where everybody must be painted with the same brush. If you feel you want to carry your baby on your chest like you got tits, you carry him. You know what I'm saying? I don't have no tits because the way I understand it from an African perspective, there's a reason for carrying them either on your back or your front. Mm-hmm. There is no reason for a man to carry that, but the Europeans introduced it. So this is what I'm telling you about how the media informs them. So those who are informed by the media start to copy whatever the media tells them is right by them and their culture. I'm not from this culture. I was hijacked by this culture. So I continually have to reassess myself when I'm doing stuff in this culture because I realize that a lot of it's led by an alien culture. The culture's alien to my forefathers and my ancestry. It's alien. So a lot of the things that we're doing, it's not of our culture, but we think it's of our culture because we've bought into, assimilated into this culture and thinking, this is normality for me. You know? And so that's where my resistance comes from. So my ultra maleness comes from the fact that I only knew maleness. You know what I'm saying? But I still have these other abilities. I don't think my children necessarily, I don't know, I can't speak for them, would necessarily say that, dad's super, aggressive or super male, or I don't necessarily think they'd say that. You know what I'm saying?
But this is exactly what I'm saying, because
you don't have to be that way.
People tend to sort of coin and build this virtual reality of other people and what they're about.
Chauvinistic was the word I was looking for.
Okay, chauvinistic.
Male chauvinist. Yeah.
Yes.
I don't think I'm sorry to cut you, but I don't think I'm that. I don't think I'm a male chauvinist. I just think I'm male. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And if and I believe in the power. I've been to Egypt and I've seen how women in our ancient history have stood. None of them never stood behind no man, kneeling behind no man. None of them never stood with never had no hiding of their face. Mm-hmm. None of them wasn't no behind no man, holding up and propping up no man. Mm-hmm. So my female is not that type of female. My female is the one that probably has an axe in her pocket or has a machete hidden away neatly. You understand what I'm saying? Because she's to the left of me or to the right of me, but she's not behind me. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I don't lead and then she follows. She's there balancing. That's what I understand yin and yang means, and stuff like that. So this idea that the Europeans brought to Africans or to the people who are the original people of the planet, that the woman is, you got to protect her. From who, bruv? She can protect herself, bro. There's women thumping over man as we speak. What are you talking about?
Well, they are the leaders. I mean,
I don't know if they're the leaders. I'm just saying that there's a balance in that should be had.
I get that.
You know what I mean? You've got Queen Cleopatra, you got Nzinga, you got Nani, you've got so many powerful women. You've got, so many. How the hell do you come up with a woman must stay hidden behind you in some dark clothes? Where did you come up with that?
I want to say, send a shout there to Lawrence. The word, he said it was masculinity, but it's chauvinist.
Yeah, thanks for that, Dan.
Thank you very much for that.
Yeah, thanks, Danny.
Yeah.
Nice tuned in there. Respect. Big up, Eve. Sydney, respect. Zeno, Kwaku, Denise.
Yeah.
Magic. Oh, it's too many. Cole, Tony. Alana. Oh, I can't go. I keep going.
Wow. We'll do that as we go along. Definitely. So now that we're beginning to understand your personality in terms of what people know you on Radio Arts and how you've built up your persona and the way you view the world and the way you view blackness. Tell us about how you got into radio.
Well, I used to have, I had a couple of friends. I had a couple of friends that used to listen to me. I used to, Aisha, what do you mean? This is my daughter, right? She's saying I must big her up, right? So that means if I pick her up, I've got to figure out all my daughters. Like Aisha, Imana, I'm top people name.
All of them.
Aisha. You know what I'm saying? But, you know what I mean? I'll just as quickly say, like, these children as what made me understand who I am, if you understand what I'm saying. Having these children, because of what I don't know what it was, but because they're a reflection in some ways of who I am, it made me understand who I am, because nobody understood me until not even early in my early days. I was much more aggressive in my early days. I would have done, if it wasn't for my first daughter, I probably would have done a lot more time. I wasn't there when she was born. I decided I was going to be there for the rest of the early time. So, so my daughters are really my family. They're the really people that make me feel like I belong. You know what I'm saying? Because up until then, everybody wants to put me in some kind of bracket. Everybody wants to put me in like, I'm not too, this rare one bag of nice brother, but I can be him because it's who I am, because I grew up that way. But then I'm also the student's brother, and I can be quite intellectual and quite articulate and rare, and I'm him as well. But people are saying to me, I have to be either that articulate guy or this guy. I'm saying, well, I'm not either of them. I am all of them.
Well, we have multiple identities.
Some of us, we don't have that. These are the things
what
that
I'm
people
saying,
say. Not all of us have them, but some of us do.
I mean, people have, because like we can be good, we can be bad.
That's not personality. That's an act. That's a behavioralism. We're talking about personality. What you do is just my definition. What you do is that you go around and you say, oh, this person's untidy. That's not a character. That's just is a behavioralism. But characters, when one minute you're all bubbly, yeah, and then next minute you're all depressed.
Can behaviors intrude become personality into somebody? Can somebody have a behavior and then it becomes part of their personality?
Well, I suppose you can. And if you're going to argue fine lines,
is it behavior that builds up a character?
I suppose from my point of view, I suppose you can have that, as you said. But in order to define it in a way that is much more, for myself at least, much more clearer, then you have to. They're very good at this. The European society is very good at mixing up stuff so that you can't get clarity. So behavioralism is about how you behave. Not, you know what I'm saying? So you say, well, that's your personality, how you behave. Yeah, but it's like behavioralism then slips into habit. And what are your habits? So you're untidy, you go to bed late, you know what I'm saying? Is that your personality, or is that just behavioralism? You see what I'm saying? So that's what I'm arguing. So I'm saying that, everybody hasn't got multiple characters. They haven't got that wealth of information. So if it's like you were brought up in a household with your mum's quite placid, your dad's quite placid, and you grew up to be quite placid, that's your genealogy. You haven't got another personality. Everybody knows you. Oh, like Tony, he's laid back. They don't say, he's laid back sometimes. The other times when he's like this. And you know what I'm saying? Everybody hasn't got it. So like, sometimes people act, you know what I'm saying? They take on a character that they saw on the television, or they want to be, like somebody wants to be Batman from a comic. You know what I'm saying? There's that acting, but that's not their real. It's not a part of them.
Okay.
This is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. So sorry to cut you, but you was asking me
about how you got into radio.
Oh yeah. So no, it's because she asked me to big her up. That's what threw me.
Right.
But so they're the ones who kind of helped me to become the stable me. You know what I'm saying? Because then I start to look. They start to reflect a lot of me back at me, and I realized that I have the right to be here just as much as anybody else. They didn't see me as. They just saw me as me. They didn't have a judgment of what I was. That's how Dad is. Oh, he's going to do that. That's how Dad is. Not, oh, why isn't Dad like that? And why isn't Dad like this? It was never that case. And okay, so that steadied me, that leveled me out. I used to speak to a group of, my friends, and I was always used to be on. People used to find me. I used to have my children with me, and then somebody would stop me on the road and say, "Why? What do you think of?" So we'd be there, and they'd be spinning around. Oh God, Dad's gone into one again. And I'll be, talking about the way I view stuff, and people would like stop and want to hear one. We'd be there for like half an hour on the street, and so as a youth worker, it was the same. I used to talk about what the society is doing to them, and how it's not going to be as easy as you think. Like we talk about how you're never going to be able to make your rent on the money that they're going to want you to earn. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have to find something else to do, because all of that what they've built for you is rubbish. It's a lie, and they don't really want you to get anywhere, because every time black people start to move ahead, they cut it off, like with the youth. When the black people took over the youth service, mostly they cut it off. But when it was helping the white people, that's how it started. It didn't start off helping black people. It started helping the whites. When whites moved out and moved off on top of the backs of blacks and the works of the imported people and immigrant people that they were living off of, when they moved on from there, that's when they left us with nothing. So we then end up like scratching around again, because they always do that. They do it in America, Canada, they do it everywhere. So one day I was talking in a group, and somebody said to me, because there was a radio station at the time, and they said, "Have you ever been on Genesis?" I said, I said, "No." So my friend said, why don't you do a tape, and then I'll take it round to different people and see if they're going to rare it. They're going to listen to it and whatever. So he took it to a few people, and they're going, "Oh, no, it's not the swearing, vibes, lightning." At the time, it wasn't the same ownership as it today.
Yeah.
Because, and they were going, no, you can't say that. You can't say that. Everyone saying, if I can't say that, I'm not going on. What's the point of that then? So like, if I can't, because at this time now, swearing, like I've been working with youths for a long time, and the hip hop has started to like kick off with this whole bunch of swearing. So I noticed that, when we was talking, a lot of them was like, all swearing. So I thought, wait a minute, this is a new language that I didn't grow up with this. So when you communicate with them, it just, you wasn't swearing at them. It was just, it's like this, it's that, that. You know what I mean? You just like how you'd speak Cockney, like you say, bloody hell, It just became like that. So a part of my expression, like I said, we're not, I'd be saying, what the fuck you lot doing, man? Come on. Get it together, you know what I mean? So I'd start to swear like that. So I'm used to talking like that. So when I was kind of passionate or upset about something, I said, what the fuck? I don't understand what the fuck that's, going on there. And you know what I mean? That's how I used to talk. So when I was doing the tape, I didn't think. I just started to talk like that. You know what I mean? As normally as I talk. And that's how I talk, I don't swear at my children, but I talk like that. You know what I mean? So I don't swear and I tell them, don't, you know what I mean? Unless I'm really super mad, I might say that. But I don't talk to them like that. But if I'm talking about something, I might talk like that. If you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I never refer to my children in that language. But they hear that language from my mouth. So sometimes when they don't swear, I say, "Oh, Dad, you haven't said the swear word." So it's like almost
fasting.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm fast saying. You know what I mean? Like for real though, okay. So so they were everybody was rejecting the tape. So my friend knew Dennis. What was his second name? Dennis from Genesis.
Okay.
Give thanks for life.
Saying, "Well, boy, you have to be careful," and all that. But he said, "You need to do it." So that's basically it. So when I first came on, we did a show called the Rago Chat Show, which it was the three of us, me, KB, and another brother called Ray Don. You know what I'm saying? And they were younger than me and stuff like that. So they had that little youth element, and I had my element. And we just, we both, the three of us, just put on this show like talking about issues of the day. So up to that time, everybody was really talking about issues of religion and black power at that time. We were kind of like the first to really talk about black issues, you know what I'm saying, in terms of everyday issues, like, ghetto stuff, girl, drugs, you know what I mean, just regular stuff. There was nobody talking about that. It was always either religious or sort of Pan-African black power, or sort of, just the two of them, religious, something to do with some type of religion and belief scenario, or, you know what I mean, or that. So we came with like everything, like, I don't believe in that, and I don't believe in, girls shouldn't be doing this, and their mind thinks it, and so it was rago. Like at the time, that terminology just meant like it was just like it didn't business, like rago meant it didn't business. So it's called the Rago Chat Show, and then people would phone up and and then a couple of years after, then they had moved away, and I had left by myself. So I restructured the show and called it Ghettoology, and coined this term. It came off a song by an artist called Sugar Minor, a reggae artist. I first heard him say Ghettoology, you know what I'm saying? So I thought, okay, that seems like and I wasn't hijacking the word. People say, oh, no, that word. Like, I wasn't hijacking the word. I didn't say it was mine. I didn't patent it. I just used it. It's like you'd use any word, like you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? So, but I liked it. I liked the idea that it was about the psyche of the ghetto, and then that to break down to people that ghetto didn't mean broke down, you know what I mean, a slum, mash up. It didn't mean that. It meant just a place where a certain type of people would be fixed in an area of you know what I mean, like a city or something like that, yeah? And so but because people had the misunderstanding of the word being that, oh, you're too ghetto and all that sort of stuff, they kept saying that, oh, you know, you want to be ghetto and all this sort of stuff. And I wasn't really trying to sell that. I was trying to open a new argument, which is now open today. You know, it wasn't open back then, you know, where we talk about every and any issue.
Well, that was a period in our time where I think you came up with a very different way of broadcasting, using a very colorful languages that excite people, that confuse people, that intrigue people, that worries people.
Give thanks for life.
Saying, well, boy, you have to be careful, and all that. But he said, didn't you need to do it? So, yeah, that's basically it. So when I first came on, we did a show called the Rago Chat Show, which it was the three of us, me, KB, and another brother called Ray Don. You know what I'm saying? And they were younger than me and stuff like that. So they had that little youth element, and I had my element. And we just, you know, we both, the three of us, just put on this show like talking about issues of the day. So up to that time, everybody was really talking about issues of religion and black power at that time. We were kind of like the first to really talk about black issues, you know what I'm saying, in terms of everyday issues, like, you know, ghetto stuff, girl, you know, drugs, you know what I mean, just regular stuff. There was nobody talking about that. It was always either religious or sort of Pan-African black power, or sort of, yeah, just the two of them. Religious, something to do with some type of religion and belief scenario, or, you know what I mean, or that. So we came with like everything, like, you know, I don't believe in that, and I don't believe in, you know, girls shouldn't be doing this, and their mind, they think it, and so it was rago. Like at the time, that terminology just meant like it was just like it didn't business, you know, like rago meant it didn't business, so it's called the Rago Chat Show, and then people would phone up and and then a couple of years after, then they had moved away, and I had left by myself. So I restructured the show and called it Ghettoology, and coined this term. It came off a song by an artist called Sugar Minor, a reggae artist. I first heard him say Ghettoology, you know what I'm saying? So I thought, okay, that seems like and I wasn't hijacking the word. People say, oh, no, that word. Like, I wasn't hijacking the word. I didn't say it was mine. I didn't patent it. I just used it. It's like you'd use any word, like you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? So, but I liked it. I liked the idea that it was about the psyche of the ghetto, and then that to break down to people that ghetto didn't mean broke down, you know what I mean, a slum, mash up. It didn't mean that. It meant just a place where a certain type of people would be fixed in an area of you know what I mean, like a city or something like that, yeah? And so but because people had the misunderstanding of the word being that, oh, you're too ghetto and all that sort of stuff, they kept saying that, oh, you know, you want to be ghetto and all this sort of stuff. And I wasn't really trying to sell that. I was trying to open a new argument, which is now open today. You know, it wasn't open back then, you know, where we talk about every and any issue.
Well, that was a period in our time where I think you came up with a very different way of broadcasting, using a very colorful languages that excite people, that confuse people, that intrigue people, that worries people. You know,
for sure.
That was all of it. And I think people, I mean, of all these different strands, listen to get worried, to be excited, you know what I mean, to get vexed, and all of this stuff, you know what I mean? So indeed, it was a very popular one. We're going to take a musical break, and when we come back, we're going to continue here with Dr. X. I want to send a shout out to Ian. Said he's liking the show. Thank you very much. We're going to open the lines very shortly so that you can ask Dr. X some questions as well that you want to. You're listening to Feferity Radio. My name is Freestyle. This is What Are You Saying Here? My special guest, Dr. X.
Your style, my style, freestyle.
I told you that we won't stop. Soundboy Entertainment. Shay. Yeah, you know. The UK's princess is here. You know how we do. Yeah. UK.
You always gotta make me feel this way. Second guessing everything I gotta say. When I'm with you, I never seem to feel okay. Yeah. But now I see the games and lies that you have tried to put on me. You are the one that has me crying on my knees. It's only now that I have just begun to see. Don't take your love away from me, baby. Don't take your love away, Baby, now when I think of all the things I did for you, to finally realize you played me like a fool, must have been done because I thought that we were true. Yeah.
I told you that we
But
won't
it's
stop.
okay, baby. I won't blame you for the damage you once made. I know you realize you lost me and you paid. I don't hate you. I say thank you. 'Cause you made me that much stronger, boy. I say.
Shay. Soundboy. I'm done, this is foolish, I'm done with your part. I'm done playing games, girl. It's all in the past. I'm done with your anger, the blah blah blah. I'm done like the Spice Girls, zig ah. Now let me get one thing straight.
Yes.
Yes, your fruit tastes the best.
Yes.
But still I don't need no stress. Where's my ring and my £100 dress?
Don't take your love away from me, baby. Don't take your love away from me, baby. Don't take your love away from me, baby. Don't take your
Soundboy Entertainment.
I can hear me. Did you hear all of that?
It's all live now. We're live.
See?
Fish go deep there. You're
Yeah.
listening to Feferity Radio here. My name is Freestyle. Special guest here, Dr. X. I hope you're liking the show. We're going to open the lines so that you can send in your...
You can ask me questions, bro.
Yeah, you can ask Dr. X. Any question you like. I'm sure he will be here to answer it for you. Dr. X, also, people know you as a very controversial figure. Because it's like some people feel when they're going left, you're going right. When, in terms of when they're projecting Africa, you're projecting something else. Why do you think people have a misunderstanding of your viewpoint about being black and the conception about Africa?
It's what I've been saying to you from earlier, because I'm not bowing to one side. This is they won't allow me to be me. They're connected to Pan-Africanism. They're connected to whatever type of Garveyism. They're connected to, Muslimality, whatever. They want you to be one of them. You know what I'm saying? So I've had this where people liked me up until the moment I said, well, I don't think that the women should go around, all covered up like, whoa, Allah, astaghfirullah, and you know what I'm saying? Like, so up until the moment when I was saying some other stuff, it was like, yeah. So I fall out with people like that. You know what I mean? Simply because I don't hold no sides. I'm saying that I'm a human being. You know what I'm saying? And in order to live a balanced life, you don't. What you're trying to sanction me with is based off of somebody enslaving the way I think, or the way I think about things. You know what I'm saying? They're not trying to allow me to be. So that's what you're asking me to do. So when they say like, oh, Africa, I'm saying, yeah, this is Africa. But even when you say Africa, how old is the term Africa? If we're the original people on the planet, how am I African? What was my name before they had named Africa? Akabelan, Kimetian, what am I? You know what I'm saying? Like, it just goes back. So I'm saying that, the balance of your soul and trying to, because I've been in some aggressive situations, near-death situations. So you can't talk that tough. You know what I'm saying? Like, that makes me like, I think, you know what I'm saying? Most of these people, they just talk. They've never been in an aggressive situation in their life, ever. They just talk like they have been. You know what I'm saying? Because there's things that when you've been in near-death circumstances, or been bleeding from the mouth, or been rushed by a whole bunch of guys, or been beaten, or been chased down the road by a whole, there's a whole different way you look at life. You know what I'm saying? Worst of all, I'm not a thug, yob thug. You know what I mean? I've lived this as the person I am. So when I hear some people talk tough, I think, what have you ever done? Who have you ever faced off to? What you know what I mean? You're just talking tough because you've been allowed to talk tough. Because you've never had to defend it in any real way. That's a lot of people. So the controversial is that I don't have that fear. You know what I'm saying? To want to join your side. I'm just saying, this is my view. Like, I thought it was about balance and honesty and viewpoints. You're not. You're about categorizing, and marginalizing everybody who's not on your side. So the moment I don't speak about the Nation of Islam, because I said I might say this about, I might say, oh yeah, Farrakhan, helped me to resolve, look at certain stuff. But then I say I don't like the way Farrakhan, he constantly talks, but nothing ever happens. I don't like the fact that I cannot have the right to say that. You want me to have the right to say it, but then you don't want to like me because I said it. You get what I'm saying? You don't want to have and a lot of them don't want to have a conversation with me because a lot of the times they feel under a lot of pressure. So you notice that, I have noticed that. They keep away from me. You know what I'm saying? In terms of those type of discussions, because they don't want to feel like they've lost a little bit of the argument while their friends are watching, or their listeners are watching, or their followers, or you know what I'm saying? In earshot.
I think, it is the vulnerability probably in humans where, for example, it's like somebody who've had all the educational qualification, and yet earns maybe £10,000. And those without no qualification are earning £50. How do you comprehend that? Because you're thinking, oh my God, I've spent years and years trying for this, and you're just like from nowhere. So these are very different complex. But in terms of the black history, the black struggle, the black opinion in this country, I think it is not to say that a lot of or all of the black people don't understand the struggle or don't really know what it's about. How come there is... And also, people who are conscious, let's put it that way, aware that, their roots is from Africa and they're doing likewise. Maybe, it's not the way that the Africans or the way they should go about it, but they are linking with the roots that they were educated and now find the opportunity to go and have a relationship. What is wrong with that?
Nothing's wrong with that. Nothing's wrong with that. That's what you want to do. You do want to do it. Like, what is wrong with the problem isn't what's wrong with that. The problem is that the people don't know themselves well enough to know there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I know there's nothing wrong with me. It took me a while. You know what I'm saying? You don't wake up knowing that there's nothing wrong with you. Somebody has to love you. You know what I'm saying? Somebody has to make you love yourself. Well, they don't have to, but you have to love yourself. But it's usually charged by some energy that makes you realize that you are to be loved. A lot of these people are not loved. They're looking for Africa as a love. So therefore, when you talk badly about their love, they want to fight. You know what I'm saying? In that respect, you know what I'm saying? They won't say, "Oh, I like what I like," and that's cool. You know what I'm saying? If I'm eating ice cream and you say, I don't hate ice cream, I go, that's for your business, man. I'm still eating my ice cream, you get me? People say, oh, I don't like McDonald's. McDonald's is full of... I said, well, I'm ready to eat my McDonald's. Nobody don't chat to me. I'm eating McDonald's because certain times I'm in certain places where the only food I can get that's hot is McDougal's, bruv. You know what I'm saying? So don't tell me nothing. You get what I'm saying? You know, like I'm saying. But they feel if they embark upon something like... I bought some seedless oranges the other day, and somebody said, "Oh, you can't buy no seedless oranges. It's like it's deep, like it's not real," and all that stuff. I was saying, you know what? When I was eating this, when I didn't know what was real from what was real, you know what I'm saying? I was fine. When you're drinking them box juice and you don't know if they're using seedless or not, but you're buying the box juice of whatever, you're fine. So leave me alone. You know what I'm saying? That's it. I don't. When I can afford, I'm in a situation where I can get the seeded ones, I get it. But if I feel for an orange and it's seedless, I'm buying it. I'm not on you lot's thing. That's what I'm saying. This is what they hate. You've got to join their thing. They can't say, I get your point. Yeah, because you might have felt for an orange. And no, there's no compassion. Yeah. It must be their way or no
and
way.
You don't know what they're doing on the other side as well.
But I know what they're doing. Exactly. And I know what they're doing. They're buying box. I've seen them buy, in certain situations, I've seen them buy a box juice, like a sort of natural box juice, so to speak, but it's boxed. So how do you know they never use seedless anything in that? You get what I'm saying? And what is the preservative in that? I'm buying, you know what I'm saying? Like a lot of foods have been sort of grafted. You know what I'm saying? So I hear them about the seedless and I get that, but I don't eat it all the time. But if I feel for it and that's all that's available, I'm not committing a cardinal sin. I haven't signed no contract with none of you. So if I'm saying that over the radio that I'll eat it, like I'll eat then that's my business. Why is it you lot are so... Not you lot, but you don't understand that the other group of people are so hit up on that, like it's a major sin. No, you can't. And then they go into one about it because I said, cool.
You know what?
Same with the, sorry to cut you. Same with the African. You know what I mean? I'm saying like, yeah, you can always, I know in my first episode I put, before I'm anything else, I'm human. We are the first human beings on the planet as far as I'm concerned. I've been saying this for years, decades, right? So I don't understand how I'm African. When I woke up, I was in England, you know, to my consciousness. I was in England from a Jamaican parent. How the hell am I African? You're talking about my ancestry is African. But I am, you know, I'm a Jamaican, quote, British, you know what I mean, brother. Everything I learned didn't come from, I had to go to Egypt to understand something deeper. I had to go to, you know, Cairo and look, you know, and and that to recognize what age, you know, the Europeans came in and invaded and then tried to create their own history and call that Egypt when that wasn't the original Egypt. So there's lots of stuff that's going on. Now, if people was much more compassionate and really did love their people, they would understand me, but they don't. They pretend they do, and they look for something. They look, in my opinion, they find something to put their little obsession on, because a lot of European life is about obsession. It's not about real love. It's about where are you going, what are you doing, who's that, who are you talking to? No, I'm jealous. Don't look at her. What are you looking at him for? Who's that? You can't chat to my girl, you know. You know, it's all about minds, what they own. So. You know, I tell you what, when we leave this planet, nobody leaves with anything, bruv. So you don't own nothing. Everything is temporary here. You get what I'm saying? So I'm saying they're trying to own something, and in that doing so and making it theirs, I can't come and say, well, I don't want to be a part of that. I can't do that because they've got it right. The whole thing about European aggression and European dominance over the African, for want of a better word, mindset is I control you, and everything you think about has to come through me. So black people, unbeknownst, are doing the same to their brethren. My name, I changed my name from John to Mulamaki. So now you need to call me, I don't know you by Mulamaki, bruv. I grew up with you knowing as John, bruv. So how am I calling you Mulamaki? No, it's disrespectful. How's it disrespectful, bruv? I don't know you by that name. It's like strange.
I mean, most people assume the name is not really a bad thing, you know, if people want to have that. I mean,
but you're not letting me finish. I'm saying this is what people do. You get what I'm saying? They force their viewpoint on you. Yeah. So who's forcing their viewpoint in that point? Yeah. I've known you for 20 years as a name. Now you're forcing me to call you another name under some type of respect. You haven't even got the resolve to say, well, you've always known me back then, so I get it. Why? But I prefer you call me this name. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I will hear like I've got a friend who changed his name years ago, and I still call him by the name I know him as. He doesn't go, whoa, because he's balanced. Yeah. He doesn't live off of the name that I call him, because he's the guy, whether I call him, he knows he's that man, whether I call him that or not. He knows I'm conscious, and he knows that I have an awareness then, say. So he knows that I'm not some guy trying to put him down. It's just a habit thing. You know what I'm saying? I'm not around him 24/7 to go with his change his name. So it's habitually I'm going to say, oh, Tone or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not a disrespect, because he's still a great man. Whether I call him John, you know what I mean, or whatever. If I say to him, you ugly ass fool, then you'd say, oh, I know you're chat to. You get what I'm saying? Because I'm calling him, that's nothing to do with his name. See what I'm saying? So yeah.
You know, the black struggle here in the intellectual properties, the struggle over who's own the intellectual properties, who is in a position to administer the change, it is very complex, especially in Britain. And the idea of reparation for those who are for those who are aware about the struggle and what needs to be compensated. There are others who are really divided in that view. Where do you stand in terms of the black intellectual properties here, the focus of what they need to be focusing on, and also when it comes to reparation?
And I suppose most of the people that are aware know that the Jews have got reparation, and a few other of the white societies have got reparation. What white people have done and Europeans have done, the Europeans across the world have done to black people and the people of color. Not even say of color, black people, and I even say brown people, because some of the brown skinned people are just mixed race. They're just half black and half white. What they've done across Australia, Native America, Canada, they've wiped out entire races of black people, billions of them. Yeah. So white people on the whole are not a good people, straight. Yeah. On the whole, white people as an ancestry and a being are disgusting as a race. You understand? Whether you like that or not. I'm not saying that I have no racism. I'm saying if you ever bother to read a book about what they have done to the people across the world in their need to move forward, you would cry if you had any compassion.
What about, I'm not stopping you there,
yeah.
hold on the piece. When you say white people, there are some who are not in the position of power and do empathize and understand it, but they have got no power to change
That's
it.
their business. That's not my business. How's that my business, bruv?
But they'll be feeling like,
Well, so what do I care about what they feel, though? Do you think it matters what you feel? The fact that you can, as a white person, put your feelings into the media and affect what I can say shows that you don't really give a shit. Only you give a shit about yourself. Because if you cared about me, you wouldn't be putting that into the media. Well, oh, I'm offended. Like with your little weak ass self, trying to slowly program me not to talk about what you've done as a race over the past 5, 6, 7, 8,000 years. They're a cruel race of people. As a race, I'm not talking about my brethren that I grew up with. I'm not talking about people that I work with. I'm not talking about these people. I'm talking about the race and their power structure. And not even their power structure, because it's normal people that watched us hang and tore off our balls. It's normal people that raped and tortured and beat to death black people. Normal people. So how am I to tell who's normal and who's not, simply because you raise your voice and say, oh, I wasn't one of them? How the hell? So what should I do? Just shut up and just carry on as normal? You know what I'm saying? That as you talk about reparations. So you want me, what all of you want me to do, both black and white, is to not mention them, because little people who didn't do that, oh, I'm offended. Like, I've got to worry about that. They didn't worry about me. There was no, if you're not in the power to do nothing at that time, or not in the power to do nothing, so what am I supposed to do then? Because you're not in power, then I mustn't mention you. I mustn't mention white people. I must say, well, specific white people, yeah. There's specific ones of them. It was a whole entire race of them. Their whole entire political and economic structures built off of the enslavement, the chattel enslavement of black people. The wiping out of entire races of people across Australia, the wiping out of entire races of people, or nations of people across nations, we're talking, of people across America, South America. What are you talking about? What is it you want me to not say? Because you're not in power now and you got your own news, you got your own media, everything goes through you now. I mustn't mention that. That means you've completely conquered me. Even my thoughts you've conquered. So what was it you were asking me to say to them?
Well, let's be on the balance here. Let's play something so that people will listen to, just to clarify a balance, because sometimes, our Our history, whether present or past, is full of pain, tears, blood, sorrow. We hardly, unless it's an individual prosperity that we can talk. But if you want to look at it from a collective perspective, it's very full of pain. And sometimes when we come out to speak of those pains, I just want to go back to my special guest here, Dr. X, when he says about, because I did ask him about, his father, what is his father's view about, the system, and he says about go along with it. So sometimes, even within ourselves, when we begin to speak of the pain in its full, entirety, it's painful for others to hear as well. So the pain is all over. But just to be on the balance, I'm going to play you a clip from a white man who speaks more or less the way Dr. X is saying now, but differently. Let's take a listen.
It's time to set the record straight. You're listening to Feferity Radio.
Stupid White Man, written and read by Michael Moore.
Oh, racist. Give me a break.
What are you going to do with the thousands of Muslims,
We certainly
American
don't.
citizens, who are serving in the military?
I'm sure that we just couldn't possibly survive with all those Muslim Navy Rangers. Yes, I'm sure that's true.
That is not right.
No. I'm talking
You
about
cannot make
Muslim.
fun of people who are saving our lives.
They want special holidays and special food in
So
school
if you don't like their
restaurants.
religion, you don't have to join them. That's fine.
No,
but,
they are-
But,
wait,
but
I'm
also,
not-
but you can't discriminate against them simply
Of
because
course.
you.
Of course, anyone should have the right to discriminate against anyone he wishes. And the point is...
But not by the law, Mr. Taylor. You can't do that.
I think the law is absolutely incorrect.
Do you feel that whites are superior, are more
I think,
intelligent than blacks?
I think, on average, whites are more intelligent than blacks, and North Asians are more intelligent than whites.
How can you
All
say
of this
that?
is-
Stupid White Man, written and read by Michael Moore.
How can you think otherwise?
Mr. Taylor,
Why
what are you...
evidence would you have to think that a pygmy is, on average, is just as intelligent as a Dane? Why would you think that? The entire record of history is completely consistent with the assumption that black Africans are less intelligent on average than Asians or
Stupid White Man, written and read by Michael Moore.
Caucasians.
That's absurd. That's repugnant and
Wait,
absurd.
Repugnant to you?
Yes, of course.
Why would you even entertain the possibility that on average a pygmy is as intelligent as a Japanese?
The comparison that you are trying to make, it is simply impossible because of historical circumstances, because economic conditions, because of the
More
movement.
excuses. We have to be willing to say to all those who are non-European, we wish you well, but this territory is for us.
Stupid White Man, written and read by Michael Moore.
And sorry, we have the right to be us, and only we can be us.
So you want me to leave?
Under certain circumstances, yes, we would ask you to go.
Stupid White Man, written and read by Michael Moore.
Unless whites are prepared to exclude people, then they will be shoved aside. That is the fate which I will fight until my last breath.
Stupid White Man, written and read by Michael Moore.
Hate is contagious. That expression of hate is something that I had never experienced before. It's something that I reported about, but never experienced it myself.
Stupid White Man, written and read by Michael Moore.
It's time to set the record straight.
Yeah. I did play that just to be on a sort of like on a balance, because sometimes, like I said, when we speak of our own reality, we find it hard to listen to. But just to be on a balance, what do you make of that, Dr. X?
I mean, I've seen that quite some time ago, and I get it. The guy, the Spanish guy who's asking him is like begging a bit. You know what I'm saying? Because he goes. This is just the other day when he went up in front of Trump, and the same thing happened again when he said, "Oh, I have the right." I'm saying, well, the only right that you have is the right that they gave you. You see what I'm saying? So when they decide to take it, then take it back, then they take it. This is why this whole conformity thing is a joke. Because the rights that you've gotten is only because they've given them to you. And what they give us, they take us away, like the COVID-19. You keep thinking you got the right to do as you please. All the bad men, them, like, you've seen so many videos of all these guys who claim they're tough guys and police just saying, go into your yard, or we'll shoot you. I'm saying. So when they're ready, they'll take, because they gave it to you. Now, as far as I'm concerned, you know, this is not human. This is what they've done over the you know, whatever they do. Like what he said, he has the right. But no, what he said about the right is littered, not with his superior intelligence, but with his superior callousness, his superior brutality, his superior savagery, on top of then using his deception in order to keep us exactly where he wants to keep us. This is what this guy is asking for. But the guy who's arguing with him has not enough sense to chatting from an emotional perspective. The guy's asking, don't know nothing. What kind of questionnaire is he? He's stupid. You know what I'm saying? Like as a the things that he could be talking about as a Mexican, he's just in something. He's caught up in his own emotions. There's things that he could expose him for. No, that's wrong. That's repugnant. And just defending everything. He's afraid. He should say, "You're an idiot. Look what you," and then tell him what happened in Mexico and what they did in order to, the Alamo. Tell him about it. That's what you should be telling him. And said, "This is how disgusting your people are. You shouldn't be there arguing and backing up and trying to defend your right to be human for people who dehumanized you." I don't know even how that makes sense. So this is why people don't like me, because they're happy to go along and sidestep and the authority says, "Yeah, if you don't say this, we're switching you off the radio. If you don't say this, we're cutting you off of the media," because they're clever. They make sure they control everything that you've got to say, so that if you don't say what they want you to say in the way they want you to say it, they cut you off. So your fear of not earning the money, your fear of not getting your point across based upon, how many likes you got or, like and subscribe. You buy into this, all of us.
So what is it then with the black intellectuals here that they don't want to put their resources together to have something resourceful in this country?
Because they're scared of white people. Most black people over here, all of them, some of them are mixed race. You know what I mean? So they don't realize that they have the attitude of white people in their blood. And some of the black people have the attitude of white people in their blood. White people are not a good people. That same guy, Michael Moore said, he said, "What, you should be afraid of white people. They're not a good people." This is what white. And I can go on and tell you about, the Iceman cometh. I'm not saying nothing that white people haven't said about their own self. I'm just a speaker called Dr. X, who's a controversial, as you say, or a social commentator or a social critic or whichever one you want to call me. Don't ask me for no solutions and touch shit to me because you can't find none yourself, and you don't believe I should have a voice as a human being because you don't like it. You know what I'm saying? I
mean, people talk also about your language. You're very colorful. You've been saying things that people don't say, and yet you're a very intelligent, human being. Why do you think people get confused, or why do you think that, swearing is part of a language that most people find attractive?
Because they're pretenders. A lot of the intelligent people pretend. Yeah, they're actors and why do you think intelligent people have never made a headway? Why do you think that is? Why is there people in the Senate, in Parliament, in all these? Why do you think none of them has made any difference whatsoever to the black development? Why is there hundreds of people in the Senate all across America and not one of them can change any law to this day? Why do you think that is? And they're intelligent. Because they're not real. They're always dancing and conforming to hold their job down. This is not about real revolution.
Is it about swearing that you make the point? That you make the change?
No. We're talking about being real. I'm real to me. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know if that's who they are. But what I'm saying to you is that they haven't made a difference. Me coming along with what I've made a difference across loads of stuff. Just being. I've never had the accolade. I've never had that type of money that you get from being famous. Never had it. But yeah, I've affected so much change in people's lives across the airwaves. People have picked up what I've said. They're using what I've said and pretend like it just dropped out of thin air. Sometimes I even coin the time when I start to talk about white people. I don't even know if white people are from this planet. I remember that time, and then it just picks up momentum and nobody says, and I marked the date. I said, nobody's saying this now, but watch. Because they don't want to accolade anything like that. Look at Obama. Obama was a cruel, individual, and a deceptive and a two-faced individual that they're all praising, and he wasn't even black. So you make stuff up in your head because you're sick. You know what I'm saying? In terms of your collective, colonized mentality. He wasn't even black. His mother was white. His granddaddy was white. His great granddaddy was white on one side of his family. How's he black? You see what I'm saying? But because the media controls everything you say, so there is no real revolution. There is no real fight back. These people are conforming with a pretense. So every time a guy like me comes out, anybody like me I'm not saying I'm anything great or nothing, but anybody on that level that comes out and challenges that, they all want you quiet, white and black.
Another thing as well, I think also is that when, this is the human trait. It's like if you take something out, you need to put it back, and so we've used to that sort of exchange where we talk about a problem and we also look at ways to amend it. But for you, even yourself have said you don't provide solutions, so therefore you talk about a problem. Is it that what people really want?
What? They don't. Who's provide? Show me somebody. Name me one person that's provided a solution. Name me one. I've been doing this for nearly 20 odd years. Name me one person out of that 20 years has provided you with or us with a solution. Name me one.
No, what I'm trying
to
say.
Name me half of one.
Okay.
No, name me quarter of a one.
Right. No.
Exactly.
The reason I say that, because we're looking at here, like what you said earlier on, when you had your first daughter, if it's not for her, probably you could have spent a lot more time and things could have been different. That change. The problem, how being the solution, change that.
That's not a solution, but you see what you do?
No.
That's what you lot do all the time. You make words up to suit a scenario.
No, what I'm saying is...
It's not a solution.
No, it's not me. You said if it wasn't for her.
Yeah.
Right. And from that, you change because, you want to spend time...
So where's the solution there? Sorry, I'm lost.
No, the solution for them is that Father is here now with us.
That's not a solution. I don't know what you mean.
No, what I'm saying is you changed from...
That's not a solution, bro. I just changed. That solution is something that adds a problem. You know what I'm saying? Why do people just make up words and add it to their vocabulary? Solution, look it up. It just means that you've come to an end of or it might mean something liquid, like a formulation of something, right? So it's come to an end of something. The solution was for me not to go back to jail. That was the solution. If I wanted to be, because it had already happened, so there was no solution. But for me not to miss my next, if I was to have any more children, for me, what I had to do, the solution was not to go back to jail.
So that's a conscious
So that if when she was born, I was out on road to see the next birth of our next child.
Yeah.
Right.
So
that's a solution. So it's not.
No, it's not even like solution, because the solution, like you're saying, ends completely what it is. Sometimes you have a temporary fix. It's like if your car, for example, you got to puncture tire instead of buying a new one. You might go to the
amend it.
That's a temporary solution. You want to call that?
Yeah, no, but what I'm saying no, but you can say it's a solution because it ended the fact that the problem of the air leaking out your thing. Yeah. So that was ended. You know what I'm saying? So that is you can't even call it a solution, temporary. It's a solution. Air was leaking out your tire. What are you going to do? Suck it? Blow on it? What are you going to do? How are you going to end that problem? You put a sticker on it and the problem done. Temporarily, but the problem is the air leaking out is now finished. If you got a hole in your roof and it's leaking into a bucket, you get what I'm saying? And you put a patch or a bucket so that it doesn't leak onto your carpet, that was a solution for the wetness on your carpet. So that ends the wetness on your carpet, right? So it's clear. So when you want to end something, tell me what you're doing to end it. Don't tell me what you're engaging in order to propose the idea of to propose the next idea to propose the idea to end it. That's not a solution. That is an idea. That is somebody trying to evolve something. Sometimes just to make money out of. In a lot of occasions in the black community, they don't want no solution. They just want to keep the idea that it's a solution in your head so that you can pay them money to pretend it's a solution. So tell me, for the past 25 years, who's come up with one? With all these solution-based people, tell me.
Well, okay, let's turn this music up and take this call. Okay, let's take this call now. I think we have a Brother Kweku on the line. Welcome to you, sir, Brother Kweku. How are you doing?
Too bad, man. Out
Yeah, greetings to you.
Mind a COVID cough then, a road boy.
How you been keeping on this time? That's the question I'm going to ask you first.
Say that again?
I said, how you been keeping yourself in this time?
Well, you know, it's survival time now, you know. Yeah, and you have to survive any way you can.
Yes.
You know, it's very precarious times that we're in. Nothing, I'm not surprised about what's happening at all. But that's not why I rang up.
Tell us why you rang up.
Well, I was listening to Brother Dr. X, yeah?
Yeah.
And I noticed that when he decided to show the evilness of the people that we live amongst, and it's a trait amongst our people that we always have to feel apologetic for their wickedness. You understand what I'm saying to you?
Absolutely.
Yet, nobody is apologetic for any wickedness that's done to us.
No, exactly.
You understand me?
Yeah.
So if you were interviewing a Jew and a Jew a bonfire under Hitler on Monday, you wouldn't find another caption for play to say bring a balance. Because the Jews have power. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And they have people situated in certain structures of all the societies that they live in. So they have power. And so when they talk, they're listened to. But because we have no power, and we're still under the thumbs of the people that destroyed us
and enslaved us and conquered us, and colonized us,
we're just picking up the pieces. So people like Dr. X is only picking up the pieces. Don't turn to the man and say to the man that man must find a solution. Because there's two verbs to solution. One is liquid, and one is finding, solving a problem, or finding an answer to a difficult situation. And so nobody rings up LBC or BBC Radio London and says to any of them presenters, "Are you just talking? Where's the solution?" Nobody says that to them.
Seriously.
Because most of them are Europeans, the Europeans stations, and they have
power.
Okay. A quick
what I'm saying to you.
Yeah, I do. Hold the pin there. Let's make a clarification here. I'm doing my bit as an interviewee. An interviewer, doing my job. And also, it's not directly asking him for solution. I was just narrating what people have said. So he's here to clarify that as he did. The other point about playing the clip is that we live in a very, like you said, liquid. Times are moving rapidly. You know, back in the days, especially when it comes to digital media, it's not the same as analog. So people are tuning in from around the world, and people who've never listened to our spoke or this kind of station. So therefore, what we're doing is to give that other side. Because say, for example, like I said, our history is very painful. You know, what Dr. X has been doing for years is nothing new. In fact, I've always listened to the both of you where you've argued about solution in the past, where you've accused Dr. X of not having a solution to the problem. However, that's not where we're going now. What we're doing here is that people who listen for the first time from anywhere and around the world and hear a man saying that white people are disgusting, you know, we know what we are. We know what's been going on. We know the history. In here, in order to be balanced, what we're saying, because there's a research, there is a lot of data that I can play to kind of balance that conversation so that, you know, people know that, hold on a minute, he's speaking of his own truth and experience. Likewise, the white man is speaking of his own truth and experience. You get me?
No, I disagree. I disagree totally. The white man don't speak of truth. Simple as that. If you study history books and what they have done to our people, there's no truth in it. What they've done and deceptions to justify the immorality and the destruction of other groups of people on the planet.
No, Dr.
Yeah,
Kweku,
that's
I mean,
what we
Kweku,
meant.
I'm not,
No,
I'm
let me
not, sorry, one second. What I mean, truth there, individual, I said the individual man, he was just like Dr. X. Dr. X doesn't speak for the masses. Dr. X speaks about himself, about what is happening socially, politically, and so on, of himself. So the clip I played, he was speaking of himself.
Quaker, are you still there?
No, I'm still here. I'm just trying.
Yeah, that's the point I'm making.
You see, can I come in? Because I'm saying like, I hear what you're saying, because what we tend to do, like, it's like a form of cowardice, in my opinion. I'm not saying the man's a coward. I'm just saying that we do this and we don't want to recognize that we're cowards. You know what I'm saying? We're scared of the repercussions of any of our actions. So if there's people listening, who cares? You know what I'm saying? Like, if they don't know their history and they want to blame you or cite you for something, that's because, but there's a history. There's hundreds of people that have written, white men that have written. So I don't personally, the section that he played, I already heard before, but he's playing it to the audience as an interviewer, to say, well, oh, listen, audience, we're not really racist, and we're not Tommy Robinson.
It's not even that. I'm not even clocking that side at all. I'm not really clocking about racism or not, because for me, I understand where Dr. X is coming. I understand. I've been in the same sort of position, organization as Dr. X, as yourself. So I understand it. And I've always been myself, in fact. In all of my experience with, I've always been myself. I've got locks, but I'm not a Rasta. I've always said that. I'm on myself. But the point is, and I'm not afraid, I'm really not afraid, because I've already been born to die. So what I'm doing is what I live to do. And secondly, it's like I studied radio broadcasting. It's not like sometimes we do some informal business and all of that. But in order to be balanced, because that's what a good journalist is supposed to do. You're supposed to be balanced. You're supposed to be ruthless, at the same time provocative, and yet be balanced. That's all it is. It's not really about trying to follow fashion. It's just what it is. You know what I mean? When you wash, you put on clean clothes. That's all.
Well, I hear what you're saying. And for me, as far as me concerned, anytime we as a people is doing anything, we always have to try to say, well, all of them wasn't like that. But that's never been. Let me explain something. The people who say all of them ain't never like that are not the people why you and I can have this conversation today. It's the people that say, listen, look, we're not business. Just deal with the whole of them the same way them deal with me. Until we have to force them to the table. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And there's thousands of those revolutions that happen.
Yeah, but
you can't worry about the one them.
Nah.
Because the one, like what Dr. X said earlier, the one them who are sympathetic to you, never in the position of power to do anything about it. And later on, them explain to you how much. Look at United States of America, how much black people in a office and
in the Senate and all that, or, the House of Representatives,
there's no change.
Nothing.
They're still shooting down black people and killing them indiscriminately.
Yeah.
And now, you don't have to be. You don't have to be intelligent. You don't have to have no PhD or any masters to think. All in a second, a disease that started with Chinaman, licked down the Italian them and the Spanish, reach over into the America. All of a sudden now, it become a black disease. Black people are dead a bit more. A disease that they start with Batman, HIV and all, AIDS and all them. So all of a sudden, it become a black people disease. And even we've all seen it. I know you've seen it as well, Freestyle. Yeah, we saw the documentary with the South African Secret Service man spilling the beans about their part they were playing in creating a virus specifically designed to kill black people. So this is not no rhetoric. We are comedy.
No. I mean, Dr. Quake. I mean, Sir Kwaku.
Dr. X. 1 second, Dr. X. You mentioned Australia, but Australia still got a few of the indigenous people left alive, luckily. But in Tasmania and New Zealand, they not exist again.
Tasmania's got a few. Yeah, because they left a few hundred of them.
They haven't.
No?
The last Tasmanian was a woman. And her name was Chukaninin.
Yeah.
And it was 1876 she died. She was 73 years old.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought that she had progeny out. There was progeny left from that, but they look different to her because she looks like an African.
No.
Okay, cool.
No, them killed them off. She was the last one, the last female, and the last male was 1876. They call him Lemmy, King Billy. Them call him. Right, the man chop off the Royal College of Surgeon. Them right, but one of the man them chop off the man head and teeth the man's skull. And them chop off the man and all them stuff. This, when the woman Tuscanini was dying, she said, "Please let them bury me whole. Don't let them decapitate me." And they still chop up the woman when she dead. This is what we're dealing with.
Yeah,
it was the government of this country.
Yeah, British, most of them.
That. So we're talking about a people that has we're talking about a creature that has no other creature on the planet is safe with.
Yeah,
I'm not just talking
human.
No. I mean, Sakweku.
No other creature safe with them.
No biological element.
Sakweku. I mean, these informations are not new anymore. They're not new at all. I mean, the other thing is.
Remember what you said. People that's listening for the first time. This is what you said. Remember,
yeah.
What you mean, when I used to do my radio show with my two brothers, we had a phrase that we coined. We said everybody is at a different learning curve. So what might be old news to you, Dr. X, and me, is new news to some people.
Well, exactly, and that's the method. Sorry, I mean that's the method. I mean, we're applying here, and I mean. Actually, it's good that you called because I was gonna call you to come on and because to interview as well and talk to you because they.
Yeah. X has got my number. You can give it to you.
Yeah. Okay. We will arrange that because what I'm doing here, Sakweku, is that we know about Dr. X. We know what he does, and I've learned something very new today by talking to him, and that's what this conversation is all about. It's about Dr. X. It's not about challenging. Hold on. It's not about challenging his view. It's about. I mean, I'm kind of employing his view to come out, and that's what I'm doing. So we'll definitely have you here. On this.
I'm gonna sign off now. But it is a very good show. I'm enjoying it.
Thank you.
Respect, Craig.
Thank you.
I've been listening to the beginning. Right. But people like X are prophets.
Well, the man himself probably would not agree with you with that because I know exactly the man. But
I hear you, Craig. I hear you.
You understand? Man a prophet, man, because man has said things long time.
The man don't want no gown, man. He's not going to wear it. He's not going to wear no robes. I know that.
Don't come off from that tune, but I just wanted to issue on that point there.
All right, respect, brother.
At that point, I was enjoying the show.
Respect,
all right. Okay.
Respect, brother.
Nice one. Nice one. Yeah, that's Kwaku there, man.
Prophet Kwaku.
Prophet Kwaku. Yeah.
Kwaku.
I mean, this is what I've lived in the community for a long time. I do what I do differently. People who know me will, I've got my own way of thinking as well. And this is what I do here. At the same time, I've got a radio broadcasting background. So sometimes it's like you're trying to do the best you can. That's all it is.
Yeah, but one has to, no matter what you do, you have to be up for criticism. You have to be up for, discernment, or whatever. It's the way it is. It's not new. It's not. It's what happens. I've been on doing it a long time, as you know. So I'm saying, but you know what I like his input, and I'm grateful for his input in the sense that I remember years ago, as you're probably aware, we had a sort of what they call a quote unquote radio feud. You know what I'm saying, between myself and him.
Yeah.
And then, you know, over time and time again, my other friend, a friend called Leroy, you know, he had a thing, and we met up there. He invited Quaker and myself. And from that moment on, we start to realize that we share a lot of the same acquaintances or know-how and and realize that we had more in common than we thought. You know what I'm saying? And whilst we were younger then, or slightly younger at least, by decades or whatever. We got over to that point because before we got to that point, we was talking on another level. But this is what maturity is. This is what I'm saying. It's not happening in the black community. We reached a point where we understand that he does what he does. He still says Hotep. I don't say Hotep. He still, he still does what he does. He's got locks. He does that. I don't do none of that. But we still communicate on a level.
Have you got yours? You got your little pony or something?
Yeah.
Oh, you cut it?
Yeah, I cut it. Yeah,
Oh.
but I'm saying. We communicate on a level that we agree upon.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But
That's
a lot of
how it
these
should
people, well, yeah, but I'm saying, no, you're saying that's how it should be, but that's not how it is. That's what we're talking about.
Course, yeah.
That the people in the Senate, the people in the House of Representatives in America, the people in the Parliament in Britain, all over the world, with their intelligence, which you're trying to get me to be like, haven't done anything. And all I've done is excite people's, whether it's anger, dismay, whether it's inquisitiveness, you know what I mean? And you're saying I must stop doing that to be like these people who have never achieved anything except a job. Because you name, I asked you just before you come on, name one of them, name half of them, name a quarter of them, name a third of them. You can't name them because they're insignificant in the world in terms of what they're doing for black people. The only person that you can mention who did nothing for us again was Obama. What he did was the black people in terms of Obamacare was service the whole of America. But what he did to Africa was destroy Africa's ability to be able to self-govern and to be independent of the West. He did that. So how would if you don't know the truth about Obama, you're going to look at him as a color who's a mixed race brother, half white, English, in succession to the Queen, and half Kenyan. Yeah, so he wasn't full bred African or nothing. So these, and we don't know if he was bred, because we know that for that particular job, we know that these people, these corporations have mannerisms and ways to make you do things they want you to do, right? So I'm saying, what is it that you're missing when I say Obama's full of shit? What is it you're missing? You know what I'm saying? You have your opinion, so that's fine. But when I give you mine, then you should say, well, that's fine too. But you want to say, no, my opinion's not fine. Not you, the individual. I'm just saying the arguments I've been into. Like, well, he's a black man and he did it and all that. I said, but he isn't black. First of all, he isn't black. How truthful do you really want to be? Why you keep talking about truth and identity and this, and half the time this stuff ain't even real. You say stuff that hasn't got no element in truth. You can't call a black man black and you're saying that you're a conscious, truthful person. Why are you afraid of then the truth? Why are you making up to suit some media, corporative media, who programs people to think the way they want them to think? Why do you want to bow to that and claiming that you're conscious? And this new term, woke. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are new people that have just, through the internet, have come onto information that they never knew existed because they were sleeping. You know what I'm saying? So now they're woke. You know what I mean? Which means that I've been awake a long goddamn time. You know what I'm saying? To be woke now, I'm wide awake now. I'm way down in my consciousness. You just woke, so you can't come chat to me. You can't start wanting to talk to me and say, did you know that Malcolm X was like, what? You talk to me because you're woke. Listen, bro, I've been awake a long time. You missed a whole bunch of stuff.
In Sierra Leone, they'll call you JC, like just come.
Yeah, you just come for real though. You understand?
Well, I tell you what, let's take a track. Can you stay a bit longer today?
Yeah, sure.
So that we can have calls coming in and open the line. We haven't done it yet. So we're going to take a track, and we'll now welcome in your calls here on Feferity Radio. That's +44.
Anything you want to ask me, it doesn't matter.
Well, you've had him speak, so, get along with it and put your question forward at 0730-541-7668. He's ready to take in your questions, and we'll take this track requested by Lorna, Alleluia. All right, let's take a listen.
I was lost inside the desert fortress, circling round my head, but thanks to God now I made it out of there. I was just another sheep inside the belly of the beast, but thanks to God now, I made it out of there. Guru Guru Meje Leshe, I am a farm, hallelujah. Guru Guru Meje Leshe, I am a farm, hallelujah. Guru Guru Meje Leshe, I am a farm, hallelujah. Guru Guru Meje Leshe, I am a farm, hallelujah, hallelujah. This ain't lucky, no. Can't you see the hand of heaven is upon me? Yeah. This ain't lottery, no. This is 40 days and 40 nights. Sick and you shall find. I say more muscle to your hustle, more butter to your bubble, more blessing to the talika. May God give you alubarika. More muscle to your hustle, more butter to your bubble, more blessing to the talika. May God give you alubarika. I was lost inside the desert, vultures circling around my head, but thanks to God now, I made it out of there. I was just another sheep inside.
I really encourage you to call Lorna. I mean, that's a long text. You want to call in? I would appreciate your text actually here. I want to send a shout there to Ian. Good to know that you're listening. Shout to Mr. Nigos and family.
Sun's outside and my night has turned to day. I see clearly now. I used to be lost and God showed me the way. I see clearly now. All I see is blessings every time I look back. I see clearly now. I was lost inside the desert, vultures circling around my head, but thanks to God now, I made it out of there. I was just another sheep inside the belly of the beast, but thanks to God now, I made it out of there. Hallelujah.
Your style, my style, freestyle.
The sounds of Fumbi. Hallelujah. I've got a text here from Lorna. It's like a whole chapter.
Sometimes people can't do it, bro.
So I'm gonna try and read the text from Lorna. How you doing, Lorna? All right? Hope you're enjoying the show. Well, Lorna says, Dr. X is very on point. I listened to Sister 7 today, and it's really sad state because they put themselves on the front line or make the right noise, i.e. This is a long one. All right. Where is that? Let me go back. This is really long. Right. It says they put themselves on the front line, right? And oh my God, she's sending some more. That's why.
The letter text to phone when it's that long.
Yeah.
It's
Can you call in, please? Because you know, whilst I'm talking, is like the texts are coming. That's why I keep missing it. You can call in, Nona. That'll be really interesting for you to say it yourself, please. It says, okay, they put themselves on the front line or make the right noise, i.e. truth, are being targeted. Lorna, please, you keep sending whilst I'm reading. It's like, give me a chance, let me read this then. Right. Where was I? It is clear that over the years, they always move the post so we can't not be successful. For example, when my parent generation was buying property in the 60s and upwards, they started introducing new rules. Also because of racism, some of our parents get disheartened and settled for council flats and sent money home to build up houses back home and also affect the white poor people. However, we were the target. The European like to have casualties of war, even it's their own. And she went on to say, I also think is on point when he says our own judge us and put us down. Our own judges and put us down when we don't fit in their boxes. We must learn to accept each other. One's intentions are good, no matter their choice of belief, religion, life choices, and upbringing. I like him. I feel like our individual amongst the people on this so-called road to liberation, with my own thoughts and thinking on issues. For example, I was not cheering when Obama was elected. I was more interested to see what the change it will be first. Thank you very much for that, Lorna. Yeah.
I mean, as I said, I have a particular view, and obviously, I'm not in a position to voice it because the system only wants to hear that. They will let Tommy Robinson speak and Kate Hopkins speak with their viciousness and their racism towards us, calling it the truth, but they won't allow somebody like me to speak because it's, again, as Kwaku said, they hold the power. You know what I'm saying? So we constantly have to be, and then constantly throughout my life or throughout my tenure as Dr. X, so to speak, people's telling me how I should speak and what I should say and what will get across and what doesn't get across, and all on the basis of towing the line. I've been on most of the stations across London, the black stations, and they all do the same thing. It's like there's a fear of something they either don't truly understand and don't want to because they're really about making money and they're really about the hustle or they're really about branding. And as I said about branding is about the slave term. You know what I'm saying? You're supposed to be able to look good if you're a proper human being. You're supposed to be able to look good in anything you wear. A plain t-shirt with your name on it. You know what I'm saying? But the idea that we've got these absolute dunces, these absolute, unintelligent people who have been used to make money, to entertain people in a monkey type way in terms of hip hop and gangster hip hop and various type of lewd behavior in Jamaican dancehall, types of disgusting and nasty behavior that's now become the forefront of reggae music, and then they're wondering why Jamaica's turned into the way it has. You know what I'm saying? These people can't help us. They can't help us to I'm not saying there shouldn't be these people. I'm saying that having them at the forefront means that you have the forefront of black people's morality as nastiness. You have people looking, constantly being bombarded, white people and Mexican, whoever culture, being bombarded with the lewdness of our culture. Because there's more to our culture than somebody cocking their arse up in the air. And everybody like copying that part of our, but not the, they don't want to hear about the resistance. They don't want to hear about what we think about them or what we think about what they've been doing to us for the past 400 years. Let's forget that. Let's just drink some champagne and brand ourselves. Oh, I'm wearing Balenciaga. People walking around with Balenciaga written all across their chest in multiple different languages, and and Nike, and just constantly branding themselves like what? Like a slave, because that's what they did to slaves. So slaves were constantly branded. I mean, to say you are owned by me. So the woke and the nonsense people, they think they're selling. What are you selling me, brother? You're selling me Balenciaga as what? Some brother I don't know of I can't even pronounce the name that good. Some Italian brother. What are you selling me? Gucci. Not that I haven't worn it in the sense of I know what these things stand for. But the fact that you want to go out there and say this is, you're not bigging up, say, Freestyle. The Freestyle name brand. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's not out there yet.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Or the Kwaku name brand or any. You're not bringing up that. You're bringing up some guys who are making money off of your people that you think are better than you. These are the dunces and the woke of our society, so-called. They think it's cool to sell because they've got nothing else to offer because they're scared they're going to lose their pocket money. They're scared. They never had anything to offer in the first place. Their limited ability to rhyme is all they've got. If you take that away, they've got nothing. You know what I'm saying? Some silly little childlike rhymes as well, like doesn't require any intelligence or any rude sort. All it requires is your ability for somebody to see you and want to sell the world your breed of nonsense. You understand what I'm saying? The Jamaicans are just the same. The Americans, the black Americans are just the same. The Jamaicans started it, and and then now the Jamaicans are now copying the copy. So Jamaicans are now, yeah, dog, I'm dog, and roof, and cat. What kind of like what? You know what I'm saying? So the Jamaica itself, as a culture, as a dancer, is going backwards, and they keep asking themselves why they're going backwards because their government has no morality. So it doesn't sanction, it doesn't censor. You know what I'm saying? In any real kind of moralistic way, they still got a convicted murderer in Jamaica. Vibes Cartel still releasing songs from imprisonment. Couldn't get Buju couldn't release no songs. He was 10 years nearly, and he couldn't release no songs. But since Vibes Cartels have been in prison, he's still releasing songs. So the lackadaisicalness and the inability now of the masses of the people to want discipline. And now we've got another particular artist talking about how unruly he is and how undisciplined he is. So now you're teaching the children how to have no discipline, respect no authority, and do what? And just laze about and just kill people and smoke weed and murder each other. That's what you're teaching them. There's nothing in that. So that means that you're a demon, bruv. You're part of that. You can sell whatever you want and pretend that you're on one. You can't tell people and young children to be unruly and not to take authority and not to. I'm not saying any old authority, but the one authority you won't talk about is white people. It's always black people's authority you don't want them to take. So what you really want to do, you want to create chaos in our communities. Meanwhile, the white man is paying you from his big record company.
What do you think make of free will? Because in all of this, I'm hearing that everybody's got the free will. They can say whatever they want, just like yourself. What do you make of that then? There's
freedom of speech. There is none. It's guarded by whatever.
Like free will, if you look at the way the music industry is, like you make mention of the bashment or the reggae industry over there and how, they depicting women and all of that. What do you make of free will?
As I said, because I don't know what you mean then. Because I thought you were talking about freedom to speak and to act. Free will is mean like I have the will to be able to pick up, within a certain circumstances I can pick up that thing. I can, with my free will I can walk out the street. I mean, I don't know what you mean by free will because it's limited.
Freedom of speech also, is limited. But where people can just do what they feel like without nobody questioning them.
There's nobody that can do that. There's nobody that can do that. They can do that within anybody that's talking about free will is talking about ability to do so much within a confine. That means that within a parameter, in other words, in a four-wall situation, you can do what you want. You know what I mean? Almost. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, there's no free will, is there? Unless you live in the jungle somewhere where nobody knows you're there and you're free willing about the place. I don't understand that, because it doesn't exist in this prison society we live in. It's just a term, isn't it?
What about freedom of speech?
That doesn't exist either. Every time I say something, someone's offended. So they don't reserve the right for you to free speak unless they have the power. You see, like the Muslims can say this stuff about the kafirs. You know what I'm saying? You know, the South Africans say that about what they call it, the kafirs. You know what I'm saying? All these people can talk because they got power. The moment I say to them, well, white people is this like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And remember, we're not talking about all white people, because as I said, it's a white woman that I know what I'm talking about, but because they want to be upset by it, because they don't want to be able to sit down, they want to, they want to basically mix, you know what I'm saying, like, and create another alternative where we all live as one. And we're not living as one, because this is what they did. The COVID shows you that we're living as one. What they're doing to Africans in China show you that they live not living as. What they're doing to Africans in Nigeria and across, we're not living as one. So this fantasy that they come up with every time they try to project something, and some kind of holistic, like holier than thou existence, doesn't exist. There's no free will. You know what I'm saying? There is no freedom of speech. There's an ability to speak freely within a confine that they give you. So you can talk about black people's pressure and all that, but you can't blame it on white people. You can talk about this, but you can't talk about that. So, see what I'm saying? So there's a limitation as to this term freedom of speech. There isn't any. It's just what we was talking about 20 years ago, you can't say now on radio, because they've decided that they don't want to hear that no more. So they're eking away freedom of speech. What you could say on Facebook 10 years ago, you can't say today. So how is it freedom of speech if you can't still say the same things? Well, once you could say mixed race, now you say half caste. You know what I'm saying? You could call high yellow or mulatto, and you know what I'm saying, all that. You could say, no, you can't say that. You can have to say mixed race. Or now, after we've gone past, now we're biracial, what next? Now you can't call nobody nothing except approach them as a being. They won't stop. So how's that freedom of speech then? Somebody's dictating what you can say and when you can say it. There's no freedom of speech. You know what I'm saying? So all of these are things that you want to have. These are like illusions in your head, or delusions that you have.
Is the illusion always can be a bad thing, depending on our circumstances, not as black people.
Whatever you want
because
it to be.
If we want to get away from it, by what you're saying, in terms of, there is nothing else we can do apart from just go along with what is being done or said. Is illusion a better place for us to live as black people?
No, not. Well, I don't know. I can't. My answer to that is no. You know what I'm saying? No, that's my answer. That's all I can say. Like, if you want to live in an illusion, then when do you live in reality? You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
Because the reality is nowhere to go. It's very painful.
No, well, and that is something I'm saying. Like, when you have a pain in your leg and all that, the people that take drugs, or the people that can't get off, like cocaine or weed or not, these are people that are weak mentally. You know what I'm saying? They haven't strengthened their mind to be able to, you know what I mean? They say, well, I need it because, it helps me to think, or it helps me to do this. Or, no, you don't. Everything that you ever had was inside you. The fact is that you haven't been able to harness it means that you're lazy at doing that, or you don't want it that much from yourself. You want it from another stimulant. So you can wake up in the morning, you can drink coffee, or you can wake up in the morning with a bright idea and bright thinking and still have the same mindset. You can go deep and find, thoughts within yourself without having to stimulate stuff. But because you don't want to go through the process of learning how to stimulate yourself, you want the quick way. Let me bun a spliff, let me snort some coke, let me, you know what I'm saying? And so, it kind of it lessens your ability. Now, again, I can go into them poisoning the weed and this manufactured new weed that they've made.
So what do you do for your own pleasure? Like, do you drink?
Sometimes.
Okay. And you don't smoke?
Not really, no.
No. Okay. No, what I'm saying is, we have time.
And there's different ways to smoke as well. Like the way the British smoke, mm-hmm. and the way the black Americans smoke, they smoke like
what do you mean British? Like black people?
Yeah, black British people and black American. I'm only talking about black people when I'm talking, unless I mention.
Okay.
So they smoke like they're eating smoke. They swallow smoke and hold it in like white people.
What do you mean? How?
Like. What the fuck? What's that,
Well,
bro?
you want to have value for everything.
That
'cause
is
you bought
rubbish.
it.
Bro, that's not how you smoke, brother.
How do you?
Yeah, I mean, you blow it in and you blow it out. You don't hold it in and keep the poisons inside your lungs. Who does that? You learnt that from white people. That's a white in the hold. Really? Yeah, you've never smoked weed, then obviously.
Rastas,
right.
Rastas do that.
No, they don't. They don't really.
I mean, when they pull the pipe, they
How
hold
would
it for a
you?
bit.
No.
And then they blow it out.
No, no. They don't hold it in their lungs though. They hold it and let it permeate up into their skull. It's not the same as hold it in your lungs. This is an interpretation of white people. And so the black Americans smoke like that as well. They hold it by the tip like how white people do and smoke it like they're smoking what they call reefer. You know what I'm saying? Even the way you smoke in England, you smoke your weed. How do you think that Rastas can get so much smoke like a vape? What do you think the vape is based off? It's based off of chillum smoking. The Rastas you can only create that amount of weed, that amount of smoke, if there's a continual pumping through. It can't be held down inside in your lungs, and it's limited. But if there's a continual pumping, a supping and blowing, then you get all that smoke.
So there's a skill to it.
Of course there is. Smoking a chillum or a pipe, yeah, of course there is.
Right.
And even smoking, you should not be smoking the way you see white people smoke.
How?
Swallowing it. I'm saying.
Okay.
It's not a diet. Smoke isn't digestible. It's a fact of science. You can't digest
people who
smoke.
cannot exhale, inhale, out of that. I mean, that is the wrong way to do it.
I've been talking about this for years. I'm not saying it's wrong. You do what you want. I'm saying it's inappropriate to your development because you're poisoning yourself that way. The quicker that smoke comes out your system, the better. Right. You know what I'm saying? It shouldn't stay in there and holding your breath and all that. Where did you learn that from? I grew up around Rasta, as I said. You know what I mean? I grew up and I never see anybody do that. I only saw that I only saw people do that on the telly, and I used to laugh. And then I saw black hip hop Americans do it. Because a lot of black people in America, they haven't got no culture. Their culture is black American, which means that it's like white people's. You understand? So if you don't know, so the other people, them like the new Jamaicans and the new people that come, they bring a lot of the Haitians, they bring a lot of their culture with them. So there's a difference between, that's why they call themselves African descendants of slavery, ADOS. There's a new group of people that saying we're closer to that because it happened to us. It didn't happen to you black immigrants who just come one generation ago. We've been here 5, 6, 7 generations. We are the ones who have felt that. You come from another place, get your money from there or get your reparations from there. So that's what's going on now. So you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I didn't really mean to go there, but I just wanted to make you understand.
It's good to have a clarity.
Yeah, I just need you to understand that there's lots of things that, as a ghettoologist, that when I used to talk, I was thinking that I'm just trying to make clear that you don't have to be, chat bad and go on one back and pretend like you're tough in order to put across a point. You just have to be tough. You know what I'm saying? Don't pretend you're tough. Tough is when you can see when you get nicked and you don't start bawling like I've seen some men do and cry for their mum. You know what I'm saying? Tough is when you can sit in isolation for how many weeks in the block because like say for Nelson Mandela or not Abdul Jabbar, Mumia Abdul. Is it Mumia? Mumia Jabbar. What's it? I forgot. It's Mumia anyway.
Which country is that?
The reporter that they've locked up. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
the
right,
black,
okay.
the dreadlocks one. Mumia.
No,
I forgot his second name. Yeah, but yeah, anybody that knows about that they know about him. These are the tough guys. These are the guys that can sit down in solitary for how long and still be able to look in your face. These are guys who did 40 years or done 20 of their years in solitary and come out, after 40 years and still got their head up. These are the tough guys. These guys that run up their mountain road and want to kill people, they're a poison. They're demonic.
What do you say to community station? Because, a lot of people have demanded you to be on radio because, they find you very interesting. And like you said, they learn from what you're saying and elevate and inspire somehow. Is provoking and it's very exciting for people. But what do you make of the community station for back then? Do you think from 20 years back or 25 years back, and now we are in 2020, and a lot of the community stations have disappeared and, not in a very good state. Do you think that is as a result of the vision or as a result of not knowing what the future or taking things very, lightly for granted? No. Why is it that, now there is not a big sort of organization coming into one and have a sort of reputable stations,
They're scared. They're cowards. They're scared. They're going to do nothing. And I went to, when Jesse Jackson came over here, I went to a meeting with, when he had breakfast at that place. Again, you see my brain's going. He had breakfast at that new building in
Brixton?
No, in central London. The Shard, not the Shard, the other one, with that one that looks like a D. I forgot what the name of the bloody building is, but he had breakfast there, right? And there was a few of these so-called black people there.
The dome, you mean? Is it a dome?
No, it's not. That's Greenwich.
No.
That's Greenwich.
Yeah. I know the one.
It looks like a D. It's
a
funny shape. Yeah, but we had breakfast in there with Jesse Jackson, and there's a bag of black people, little wannabes, and claiming to be black this and black that, dressed up and all that. I've got a picture of me, him, and Lee Jasper. Everybody was talking about that. There's people saying to me stuff like, "Oh, if you're going to start something, the gherkin." That's it. Thank you, babe.
The gherkin. Yeah.
That's what my daughter, she said that. Right. The gherkin. And there were people saying, "Oh, if you're going to do something, don't." That's how Colourful Radio was called, Colourful and not black or anything to do with black, because they were saying that if you called it black, you won't get in funding. You get what I'm saying? You won't get no funding if you called it black. So you can't call a newspaper black. You can't call anything black if you want funding from the government. It has to be called something like, lovely radio for dark people or some shit. You know what I'm saying? You can't say it's black radio. You can't say that. So these are things that are underneath, which these intelligent people foster. You understand? They foster this bullshit when you don't know. So a lot of these people, you ain't going to get nothing done with all this solution-based, because these are the intelligent ones who don't want to step on the white man's toe. You understand? They're not going to stay there listening to them. I've been listening to them for over 22 decades. Stay there, continue listening to them and see what's going to happen. Keep telling me about my solution. Keep telling me, and then show me, after you told me about my 20 years of speaking on the radio, show me in that 20 years, which one of those people that keep asking me for a solution, or any of their friends or peers, that has created a solution of any sort. I'm solution based. You hear all these stuff. Yeah, we're all about the solutions. It's foolishness they're chatting.
Also as well, we've come through that community-based radio where it's more disunity than unity. It's more argument than understanding.
They're not developing themselves as people. You understand what I'm saying? They're smoking weed. They're buying into everything that the media throws at them. The black media, the little dunce black media people, them that are singers, they're stupid. Half of them ain't got no sense. They're chatting up about shit. You know what I'm saying? Because they come from a real. I'm not talking about education like white people's education. Just knowing, like I said, I read for myself. I took time to read other books. I took time not to just, there wasn't no internet like how it is now. So I wasn't busily trying to get my numbers up. I was just trying to get my brains up. So I did a lot of stuff like that. These people, a lot of these dark-skinned guys, they want mixed-race girls. You know what I'm saying? They're selling out their own gene pool. You know what I'm saying? They've done it in Brazil. They've done it in Portugal. When you start to see the mixed-race person, you don't realize that this is a transition into whiteness. You think it's all great because you're black and you got some white girlfriend or some mixed-race girlfriend. But all of that is killing the black population on every continent. The New Zealand continent has happened. The Jews, there is no black people left. There's no Semitic people left in the Jews. The original Jews have been bred out by the Caucasians. This is what they do across all the continents. So you're going to still keep buying into this, and you won't want to hear people like me, because I'm going to affect the way you think in terms of you want to mix, you want to love everybody, you don't want to hear nothing, controversial. You don't want to hear nothing that's going to make you feel, you got to work with white people. You're in a white people's country. Why don't you go back to your country? What country? I don't have no country, brother. The only place I know is Africa and Jamaica. Those are the two places that I know that I would hail from. Where'd I go in Africa? I got, Quakers bought some land out there. How many people want to go there? You know what I'm saying? I'm destined not to go there. I'm going to do what I'm doing while I'm here. But I'm saying there are people that, that I would want to go. I would say, well, boy, if that's your thing, go. I know people that have moved to Africa. There's people that have moved to Jamaica. You know what I'm saying? But the poverty in Jamaica is it's so heinous that it's difficult unless you have real people over there and you're really in touch with the poor, because the poor can be very vicious and very calculating in these types of places where it's hand to mouth. There's no social system. There's no free health. There's nothing. And these people are pouring into these countries uneducated and just selling you their uneducated self. There's women buying men and paying for them. I know a girl, or I know of a girl who's got a degree, and she paid for a man who can't read and write to come to this country. He was illiterate, But probably, I talked about this many times on radio. The sex thing, that's what you've bought. You're simple in your mind. So now your child has grown up with this arrogance and wants to kill another child. Not even a big man. A 16-year-old, 14-year-old wants to kill another 16-year-old or 14-year-old. This is what you've created. So I'm saying nobody's looking at what's really happening to black people, because every time you try that, white people say that is not necessary. And then the people who are getting funding, who are these black, these little blacks, I don't, the word Uncle Tom is what we know, but they say it means something else, but whatever. For the meantime, that these types, they're selling you out for your own purposes. That's why nothing's happened. So you're talking about argumentative radio. These radio stations, they're not open. So they won't invite somebody like me on because I question their belief systems. They can't just say, okay, you question my belief system and that's cool. They want to get emotional. They haven't learned no yoga or nothing to control themselves. They want to get involved. You think you're this. And then they start attacking me. They can't even say, okay, that's a good point. Let's see where we go through from there. Many times I've had to be on radio and say to cut people off because I'm saying that. You're not talking about what I'm saying. You're talking about me. You don't know me, bro. You can't be talking about me and telling me to calm down and telling me to, that just be quiet for a minute and all. Yeah, where did you learn your manners from? You know what I'm saying? Where did you get the idea of speaking to someone like that is normal? You see what I'm saying? So the way black people treat black people is not the way they bow and revere white people. So I can't, if I'm not getting any reverence, you know what I'm saying, for me being me, I don't want to chat to you. What, you know what I'm saying?
That's the thing, because having you here today, I've learned more, about you. When you listen, on radio, you listen to people, you have different assumptions of people. And, when you hear back in the days, people used to call you Dr. Vex. But listening to you is just that you speak of your own reality and truth. And there are people who will get really mad, for hearing it. And mad because they couldn't really speak as well as you do of their own truth. Why do you think people will refer to you, used to call you Dr. Vex?
Because obviously I'm my passion and my ability to raise up my temperature. And also, there is no such thing as your own truth. These are things that media... I'm telling you, these people a lot of you people, not just you, include everybody, you think you're thinking freely and you're not. This has been introduced by the media. There's no such thing as your own truth. It cannot exist.
What I mean.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying what you're saying is not what you mean. So you get used to saying what you don't mean, which is not a so-called African.
Say reality then. Your own reality.
I hear you. I'm just wanting to express something because it happens quite a few times. People talk about it. They didn't even know where they get it from. Where did you get the idea that you have your own personal truth? You don't even know. It just came out of nowhere because it wasn't in 2000. It wasn't here. I know this. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't here in 1990. It wasn't here in 1980. It wasn't here in that. So where did your own truth develop from? It's a rhetorical question. I know you can't answer that. What I'm saying, this is what I'm trying to tell you. So I don't want to go off course. I just want to show you a lot of the things that I look upon and question. People they just do like the same thing when I said years ago that the partner, you're saying partner because the media or the mediums that they control, they introduce the word to you through the government. It's not a word, but because the government knew they were gonna sanction homosexual relationships, they introduced the word to you through the media they control long before they and I told you that they was gonna legalize gay relationships, and people saying to me, "Nah, they're not gonna do it because it's Christian country and all this sort of stuff." Look at it now. So again, not to mess up your whole flow, but so what we're talking about is what you said, reality or experience. It's not the same as truth. My experience with something is not a truth. You know what I'm saying? It's my experience. You've just changed the word truth to mean experience.
No, the question is, why do people refer to you as Dr. Vex?
As I said,
that was a question.
That was a question. But I moved it. I've just explained to you that you're saying my truth. I said,
because you speak of your own reality.
Yeah, my own experience. That's what you're asking me about. Yeah. My own experience, not my own reality. I don't have my own reality. When the sun shines, does it shine both on me and you? I'm gonna answer your question, but I just need to put on the point. When it rains, does I get my own rain? Does it just rain on me alone? When the sun shines, does it only sunshine on me alone? If this building was to fall down, I would have a separate truth to your truth. It's rubbish. It's just my experience about what happened at the time. So yeah, the reason why people call me Dr. Vex, of course, is because they're ignorant and stupid. It's only stupid people that are going to realize that they've never come across somebody like me before, and that I was allowed to. And the fact that Dennis Rowe had the freedom to let me do that, it was incensing some people. Who is this guy? People who I didn't even know was listening, because they've never heard somebody speak like that in that way. Now a dime a dozen people are speaking it, so it's not. What's the word again? It's not new anymore. It's a run of the mill, yeah, to swear. But what I'm saying to you, even still now, people are trying to control the way I speak. I'd rather not be, I'd rather just be what I am, than just to go out there. I've tried, like I've done not, speaking like, I'm not Jeff Schumann. I'm not any of these people. And because they have a behavioralism, they think I must have it. I'm not you. You're not me. So some people try to copy me and but you're not me, bro. You can't, just be yourself. And some people, they lack attention, so they create attention by behaving in a certain way.
Okay.
You got if you look at these comedians like Dave Chappelle, he's different to Chris Rock, who's different to Martin Lawrence. But if everybody tried to act like Martin Lawrence, it would be a joke. So my vexation, there is no vexation. This is just what you'd call passion. Maybe even at the time there was a bit of anger, as you'd say, vex. So they say, oh, you're quite angry, because they've never heard a man express themselves with anger, but yet still maintain a sort of sensibility, like still making sense. So those who didn't like swearing for whatever Christian reason or belief they had, they would tune off. But those who saw through that would still tune in. So I've spoken to hundreds and hundreds of people over the years at that level. I've held many, many lectures, in public, with Rasta in there, with Muslim in there, no believers in there, in the same room, because when you talk about something that's true, not my truth, it's either true or it isn't. But somebody's developed this new idea that somebody can have their own personal version of what truth is. You know what I'm saying? You can't have your own personal version of what truth is. You can have your experience of what you've had in life. But truth cannot just belong to just you. You know what I'm saying? But you've done that, and so you followed the media's lead again, and now you're going down that road now. My truth is, like, what? Do you mean with what, though? Because you just said the truth. Like, it's like saying, well, my sun is what the sun in the sky is. You've got your own sun, different to the sun that we all have, is it? Your sun is. Because either true or it isn't. It's either the sun or it's not.
Yeah, people speak also from a very personal point of view, and trying to own the interpretation of what they say.
Don't you understand what I just said? I said to you that you didn't have that. I told you how it came to be. It came to be because the media injected it in. You can't tell me where it started from. You only know that you just say it thinking that you're talking about your own personal experience. No, you ain't. You're talking about what the media has told you is your own personal experience. Because I want you then to show me where it started from. I want you to then to show me where the definition of truth means you have your own personal... Maybe you can do it now because they'd have rewritten the books by now. But when I was talking about it in the first instance, when people start to use it, I said, there you go again. You're listening to these people that are dictating how you must talk and what you must, how you must discern a word. It's not mass media that did that, like you don't know, or that's just comes from ghetto, or just, it's not like that. It was introduced by people who control the media, the newscasters, the news presenters, and TV. These are the people that introduced those terms.
You brought some kind of emotional feeling earlier on when you spoke of, Mama not being there. My mother, I lost her about 25 years now, or say coming 26 years. So she was not around when I started having my children. And I wasn't there as well because she passed away in Sierra Leone and I wasn't there. It is very difficult for me sometimes to get over it, especially when sometimes you hear people saying, oh, take my children to grandma, or their children, knows much about grandma and knows this. Sometimes you get to that point where you begin to feel, or it reminds you of something. And I miss that. I really do miss that. Mm-hmm. Is this something that have occurred, to you as well, where you, from time to time, you kind of reflect back and really miss that and want that? No.
Like I said, like with my children, you know what I'm saying? I get all I need to get from them. Like, it's fun. You know what I'm saying? What it is I don't understand stuff. That's what I don't understand. I'm like at that place where I don't understand why isn't it this didn't happen and why isn't it? That's what I'm at that place. I'm not at the place where, I missed this. Because in a sense, for myself anyway, I don't miss what I didn't have. You know what I'm saying? So I can't necessarily say, oh yeah, you can miss it because you had your mum, so you can miss it. You get what I'm saying? And you know what I'm saying? Your children can't necessarily miss it because they don't know from Adam unless you create another grandma and say you could have had this side as well. You get what I'm saying? So
yeah, it's something that they talk about. So you know, like
by seeing somebody else's grandma though, if they weren't aware of it,
because everybody should have one from that point. It's not like something that you really purchase. You know,
Well,
from that point, because sometimes I do as well, like. Do reflect on that, like, if she was alive.
So what about the women that got one baby mother and she's got 7 different kids or 7 different men or 5 different kids for 5 different men? What do they reflect on? You know what I'm saying? Can you see the confusion there then?
Yeah, no, is a presence is a point that probably the knowledge of it.
Because they're gonna.
The knowledge of it is there rather than the absence of it. I think the absence of it sometimes makes the mind go fonder. So sometimes because. I was just saying, if I told you reflect upon that.
But don't you understand how it works with the absent mix? Sorry to keep cutting you, but these are quick. I've got to get into here quick because when I remember when you talk about the absence, right? The absence is knowing that's there in the first place. Have you missed your wings? No, because you didn't know you had any. You don't know if you should have any. You just don't have them, so you don't miss them. So if you don't have it, absence makes the heart grow fonder, means that what was once there is now missing, not what was never there is missing.
My wings.
Yeah, exactly. You never had them, so you can't miss them. That's what I'm saying. So what I'm trying to say to you is that absence, in its terminology, makes.
I'm just going to be like you for a moment, where I said,
"No, it's cool. It's cool though. Like, do it. It doesn't matter to me. I'm cool, man. Don't hesitate. Just do what you do. What I'm saying to you is that what I'm trying to say to you is that absence means that it was once there and it's now absence. Not that it was never there and it's absent. You know what I'm saying? So when you say absence make the heart grow fonder, it's meant to coin a term, mean that you had something. Somebody was with you or something was amongst you and it went away. So its absence makes you be fond of that thing that was once with you, right? So that's the definition of. It's not absence doesn't mean if you had you was born into a single parent family and the absence of your mother makes you want a mother more, or the absence of your granny. It doesn't mean that.
So it's something that you've never missed at all.
It's something that you've never had. So how do you miss what you've never had?
No, had. I understand what you're saying. The presence of it wasn't there, but you had.
I had what?
A mum.
I've got a mum. To this day, I still have a mum. It's not like I don't have a mum. The fact is that I never had her presence in my life to miss.
Yeah.
Ever. So it's like I had her for 5 years and then she went away, or 12 years and she went away. That's when she was there and now I miss her because I know what she, I can tell you about her smile. I can tell you how she performed. I don't know her. So how can I miss her? I don't even know who she is. Yeah. See what I'm saying? Now, unless you didn't know that, but that's the case. So that's the case. So what I'm saying to you, something that was there and missing makes absence. It coins a phrase more accurately. Not having it there and then it doesn't coin the phrase accurately by not having it in the first place. So I've never had a mother in my life or my mother in my life, so I don't get absent and miss her. I'm not aware of that. I told you when I was growing up, I had no idea what color was. So I'm that guy. You're talking to that person. You're not talking to this general population that buy into everybody's definition of stuff as some herd mentality. I don't do that.
Okay, thank you for that. There's a text message here from Lawrence. It says, Tommy Robinson and Kate Hopkins don't talk racism against blacks. If anything, they are critical of Islam, immigration, and how police are afraid of Muslims, especially Tommy. There is no clip anywhere of him of racism. The reason he portrayed as racist is because they have to shut him up for exposing child sex abuse. They locked him up over that, while the police are complicit in allowing grooming gangs to abuse white and Sikh child. Okay. That's about it.
Well, I mean, like that's that's just definition. You said there's no clip of him saying, I'm saying that Muslims are not they're mostly what race though. You know what I'm saying? I mean, when people say racism, they're looking at the race of what you are, aren't they? Blacks and Muslims are not white people. You know what I'm saying? So, and I can't think of off the hand any clip that can say, he said, black bastards go back home or anything like that. But he has referred to race many, many times. You get what I'm saying? That's like saying, Obama was there for blacks. Then show me what he did. So I'm saying, but we know that he wasn't, because we can show you what he didn't do, and we can show you what he did that worked against us. So we can show many clips of him citing racists, and both Kate Hoppers citing racists. Why do you, if you're so whatever, how come you keep killing yourselves, and loads of things she said. I mean, I never bothered to document it because I didn't think it needed to be. It's not something that needs to be proven. I'm sure you reach out, and a lot of people would show you X amount of clips. He does lick out against the police. He does say the country belongs to him and not to the immigrants and all that. So he does that. So I don't know if they're talking about black on. He's racist towards West Indians or Africans, but he's racist to another group of people, and that's fine because it's not us. I don't know if that's what the person's saying. But it's
racist to black. There are issues about Muslim immigration.
Well, the Muslims they're not 9 times. Muslims didn't start with white people.
So you would say, he's focusing on religious people.
I don't know about that. I really don't know about that because, like I said, what I've seen of him, it seems racist to me. So if that's then the case and that's his belief, that's not a whole bunch of people's beliefs. So good to him.
Do you think there's any chance, any way that blacks and white, say from the British perspective, will see eye to eye and come together and work as one?
How?
I'm asking.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't know. I have no idea. None. I'm not that clever. I have no idea how that's going to happen. I mean, like I had no idea there was going to be. You could even exact something like this COVID lockdown. I had no idea. So I never have an idea how to do that.
I mean, your experience being here in this country and what you've seen so far. Do you, in any way, looked at the future and thought, well, it will come a time, this will happen?
You mean like Martin Luther King's dream?
No, all of us dream anyway. Forget about Martin Luther.
No, you can't. You can't. Because you're asking me a question that directly is on the same line. You're saying. He said, I have a dream. And you're asking me, what do I think about the future? So it's same, it's parallel.
You have people who are in a mixed race relationship, if you want to call it that. You can say that they have seen something that a lot of people haven't seen. So, and you've seen people in that sort of relationship for over maybe 20, 30 years.
Yeah, many people.
Yeah, and they're still together living.
But the thing is,
when you look at, apart from amidst all the racist, behaviors and attitudes and how we relate to one another, do you see that come a time where, like Bob Marley said, let's use Bob Marley, until we start looking at the color of a man's skin, we'll come together from that point.
He said until it was Selassie's speech, because they had invaded his country, and he's saying that until the color of a man's skin has no more significance than the color of his eyes, there will be war. Well, the white man thinks that you played a part. White man thinks there's a deep significance in his skin. So how is that going to happen? You're talking like when you talk about people want to hear me say something ideological and positive. Yeah, and one day we'll all live as one. That's what they want to hear, and it makes them feel good.
It's Africa for the Africans as well.
You've lost Africa, bruv. Are you mad though? What are you talking? Why people talk foolishness? You know what I mean? It's like, no matter what happens, you want to stay in this constant, rather than do something. Everybody wants to stay in this constant, one day it's going to be all fantastic. The Africans are selling out their country. The Jamaican government is selling out their country. Most of Jamaica's chopped up between the Chinese and the British and the Spanish. It's not even owned by Jamaicans. Jamaicans come here to pour drink over each other. And and to live good life. You know what I'm saying? They're not doing anything to liberate their country. They ain't got no sense to do that. You know what I'm saying? So where's this place that you want me to find? Because I don't have that place in my head. So what I need you to do is show me that place, so I can say, okay, yeah, I hear what you're saying. I don't see it. These people are selling out their heritage and their culture every day to people with money. The leadership, look how long Nigeria's been like that. They've got ghettos that got like millions of people in a ghetto, millions. They've got places where they got men with $1,000 million, £1,000 million in Africa doing nothing for their people. So what is it you want me to do with my little broke self in Brixton? What do you want me to project into the world as positivity? You know what I'm saying? This kind of like madness is what's kept us here for so long. Project the reality and stop projecting delusion and illusion and fantasy, and then maybe, you know what I'm saying? They say you see it, you feel it, believe it. Maybe then the truth will come into light. So the people then who are growing up or coming up will see the reality and act on the reality, not the fantasy. How about that? Does that work?
Well, it says only one Dr. X. You know, what a guy. That's from Leon. And also we got a text here also. I think this is to Kweku. When you come in, Kweku, we can deal with that. You know, this is social media and informations are all out there. This is a text here. It says, typical Kweku, all tough on radio, but in the reparation march, they invited Europeans on the committee. An extinction rebellion, don't take him seriously, don't know the real Kweku. That's something that he can deal with.
Yeah, when he has his show, the guy I was trying to mention earlier on, that the revolutionary journalist is Mumia Abdul-Jabbar. Thanks, Kweku.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, like, you know, people, this is what I'm saying to you, that people have all these different things to say, but until the person gets a moment to answer that question directly, people can throw accusations because they've thrown them at me. And I'm saying maybe they land and they're true, and maybe they land and they miss. Maybe they don't land, they land and they're true, and maybe they miss. So I'm saying, what we have is this constant barrage of people not doing anything, but always have a finger to point at somebody that's doing something. But then whatever that something that person's doing is not good enough for them. They should be doing more. So I've had the same thrown at me. Like, I'm doing this. You know, like, big up to Ian. You know, I'm saying that every time I see him, he says, I should, you know, I need to be back on radio. My voice needs to be heard. But as I said to you, black people, they're not. There's only a few people that really want, you know, evolvement. The rest of the people just want to be entertained until they die. The rest of the people, they're happy with life as it stands and capitulate into every media move, every white move, every power move. Because, you know, people talk about white supremacy, and there is no white supremacy. There's what I call white power racism. So what you're dealing with is not the average white man. You know what I'm saying? It's the white power racism, the white power structure that thinks that he and they and their people are more deserved of this world than the people that they came and found here. You know what I'm saying? So they're going to take over the world, dig up all the resources, murder all the people that they found on the planet, and then say we are the rightful owners of this planet. They go to the internet, free something that was given free, and now they colonize it, and now you have to pay for it. The same, they're going to do that with everything. Now, first of all, the roads are free. They colonize it. Now you have to pay for it. You know, the air is now free at the moment. Guarantee within another few years, you're going to have to be paying for the air that you're breathing.
Well, that's why mask has been introduced, right? This is from Tariq. He says, say to the brother, it depends. I think you mentioned about rain. It depends on what rain he's talking about. Many people piss on us and tell us it's raining.
That's just a quirk, though. I mean, yeah. I was literally talking about rain. What I'm saying to you, when you have a literal word like truth, yeah, we're not talking about its versions or whatever. I'm talking about a literal word. Like when people say my truth, I'm asking you, where do you get your own personal truth from? Because it's true to me, but they have no definition. I told you it was introduced by the media to remember, the media is controlled by the white power races. So all of the corporations are either white power racist or white power, you know, driven. So therefore, they control all the news. All the news stations in America is controlled by a few corporations, about 6 of them, right? All the news stations in England are controlled by the same group of and they're privatizing everything as we speak. So your water's going to be privatized, everything. So it's going to be owned by the same set of people who have the money from slavery, who constantly passing back the money onto their own people while you're busy buying their champagne and while you're busy buying their Balenciagas for £400 or £500 for a jumper. You know what I'm saying? So this is what they've got you doing. So what don't they understand when I say your truth? You don't have your personal truth. You have your own personal experience based upon what was happening. So there's rain coming. There was a thunderstorm, right? And so my experience with that thunderstorm is that, you know, it came through my roof. My next door experience with that thunderstorm, it's not my truth. You know what I'm saying? You just hijacked a word because they told you to.
Let me read this to you. It's from Nigos. It says, yes, fam, big up Dr. X. Very real and informative talk so far. I know X from when he was a youth worker in Patmore Estate working with Eddie Lamb. Is not lying. He always used to express himself the same way. I remember X being very responsible and good at singing. Really? Okay, we didn't know that. Thank you for that.
Man just exposed the next part.
I could have read this earlier on. You could do us a line. Yeah, I mean, this was more than 25 years ago, nearly 30 years, man. X started a revolution in thought in the early 2000s. At the time, we were all listening to Black Americans, and X came on radio with a South London voice, and it was a big deal, identity-wise, to many men them from the hood. Thank you. That from
respect Nigos. Me and him, and he's a philosopher as well, and he's very excellent in he can break down lots of stuff to do with like white psyche and white politics and all that. And me and him have lots of disagreements. We're not on the same side, and he put that. So big respect. But I'm saying again, I knew him from he was a younger youth as well. And the thing is that this is what happens as you grow to be men. You know what I mean? It's important then to find out your differences without having to, to want to kill each other. You know what I mean? Like, because he believes, I'm not into what he believes, because he studies, he studies a lot of people. Like, he's very educated in terms of the white side of things, like like Marxism, and like if you had him on the he's a whole nother, because he has a whole nother perspective. And I think all these perspectives, like before I wouldn't have thought that, but like as I've gone older, like these perspectives are valid in themselves. What we're looking for with all these perspectives is how do we then break this chain that we're under? You know what I'm saying? Because the media, I keep saying the media because it's not the media. It's just a bunch of corporations that control, the medias that are out there. Media just means a medium. It starts off with a medium. That is something that sends messages or whatever. But they control all of them. They control the radio is a medium. The books are a medium. Television, these are all mediums. And then the collective name for the mediums that you use is called media. So they don't actually own the media. It's just a classification. What they own is media. They own they own these mediums within these names, like BBC. They own that medium, but they don't own this. What's happening now? You know what I mean? They own, but mind you, we have to pay the bill to them, but they don't own what me and you are saying. You know what I'm saying? So they own the collective mediums that you use, and we call that the media.
You've got to be very quick on this one because we've got about 5 minutes in total. Okay. I think we've talked about, this is from Z, thoughts on Akon, thoughts on black returning to Africa. I think you've dealt with that. Which blacks deserve respect? So if you can touch on Akon and which black deserve respect.
I mean, all right, Akon already took his money and used and moved it out of music and used it for. To me, that's a sensible move. That's what the idea of coming up over the ghetto from. But some of them can't let go of that addiction to fame and all that. They ain't got nothing purposeful to do with their life. So big respect to Akon, because he's using that money that he made out of music to do something purposeful and to turn over and make the city that he's come from and all the little things that he's doing better for other people. I don't know. I don't have the moral responsibility over what is respect. All I'm saying is that from my point of view, that these little dunce brothers that are making these little youths excited about killing each other and excited about taking drugs and lean and all that. These youths here who are being paid for by some secret organisation in the music industry, as far as I'm concerned, because I've talked about this for 20 years and it's still carried on. This is the longest time we've ever spent in one genre. Yeah, because it's the worst and the most destructive genre of our existence in the West. But it's the longest time we're spending because somebody, remember I talked about this for years, so it's nothing new to people who know me. But they bought out all the small labels and they collectively, and then they control it. They bought out BET, they bought out Miltone, and they're all controlled by white people who then tell you that Housewives of Atlanta, get big women stripping each other and punching each other in the face is how black people behave. Grown women with shoes wearing like a 500-pound shoes should be kicking another woman in her face. That's what they want you to see.
I mean, it's been a pleasure having here Dr. X. And,
it's great. It's one of the best interviews I've ever had.
Thank you very much. Thank you. we haven't even touched. This is just about you, really. But next time when you come in, so we can touch about what is going on in your view about it. Because today is about, for me myself, we've, like I said, I've known each other for a while. But what I've learned today is directly from you, and it's not just from listening, to you on the radio. But I've learned something really good about you today, and so. Next time, you can come back, we can look at this issue and what is going on, the covert, the vaccine, what they call it, 5G, and all of this stuff,
Excellent.
Yeah?
Yeah, you just let me know the time and the date, and I'll factor it in, bro. I mean, it's great. You know what I'm saying as well, because I like, as the first time that a black man has ever. Well, I was introduced on lightning as well, but I think your line of questioning is much more. It's much more black journalist to me. You know what I'm saying? It's the first time I can say, with my hand on my heart, that I've come up against that. Because remember, I watch all these programs all the time. I've been watching. This is what I do. So I've got my view. I've got what I see and what I know. So big respect to you for that.
Well, definitely, man. Thank you very much. And we'll hear Dr. X again here, probably next week. We'll try and do that. So we get used to, on a consistent basis here. But I want to say thank you very much for everybody who's contributed today. Thank you for all the silent listeners around the world. And this show will be uploaded on our YouTube channel. That's Feferity London. So make sure you go there, subscribe and share. I want to say thank you very much for listening. My name is Freestyle. Before you go, Dr. X, any shout there to one quickly?
Well, to everybody that's listening, I can't discuss it. I got so many names, but like Z. You know what I'm saying? Big up to Negus for that little thing, respect. And I mean, everybody that's listening, you know what I'm saying? And my children, and I love you lots. You know how it goes already. I don't know what that go already. So, I mean, and everybody else who's listening to me, like, thanks. And thank you to Ian and people like that in my life who's always never let me leave that mark alone. Always, every time they see me, it's like, bruv, what are you doing, bruv? Like, they try to always just keep me on the ball, even though they see me drifting.
Even Batra calls you as well.
Even you, because you see me on the show, so what's going on? So big up to all of you that because sometimes you think like, I ain't bothering because it is a waste of my time and I could be doing something else. But I'm grateful to all of you who say, boy, you're missing the point here.
Yeah. It's important to keep it real and keep it consistent as well, because what people are used to is what people are used to. You can't stop now. So, well, thank you very much for coming in here, man. Come on. And we'll hear more from Dr. X very, very soon, probably next week, right?
Respect. Yeah, man.
My name is Freestyle, and I'll speak to you again tomorrow.
Somebody's saying, great interview for real.
Tomorrow is going to be someone from the Gambia. It's going to be someone from the Gambia. And then Friday, someone also is speaking to an Indian musician. We've seen all of the clips that's happening in India, with the floggings and all of that. That's not what we're talking about. We're just trying to figure out what is going on there and how he's coping. So on Friday is Kaushik from India, and tomorrow we'll be speaking to someone from the Gambia, west coast of Africa. My name is Freestyle, and thank you very much for listening. Make sure you keep it here. If it's the first time, we want to encourage you to stay here anytime. We're here 24/7, 7 days a week. So anytime you wanna, you're welcome. This is your nostalgic station. Until then, take care of yourselves.